breaking news into the Fanfare news feed.
All right. We got some breaking news. Well, by this time of night, it's not really breaking because it's 8:35. Broadcasting on YouTube, obviously, X and Rumble. So wherever you're watching, thanks for tuning in. But I got some breaking news for you. Like I said, it broke about an hour ago, but still might be breaking for some of you guys. We're going to talk about it. So, in case you haven't seen it yet, let me be the first one to bring it to you. It's a big story, but unfortunately, it's not going to be the story that you want to hear. And last time I brought this up, we got into big fights. People were fighting. Everybody was kung fu fighting. So here we go. You ready? Here we go. Top FBI official has been forced out after questioning Trump pursuit of agents who investigated January 6th. Notice how NBC News wants to portray this. This is the lead agent in the FBI in the Southern District of New York, up in New York, who has been, keeping the documents away from Pam Bondi. But these people are so afraid of even mentioning the entirety of, the Epstein files in a headline that this is what they appropriated. They appropriated top FBI official forced out after questioning Trump pursuit of agents who investigated January 6th. So that's why they're saying he was forced out, which we're going to get to. So let's take a look at this. Ready? What's going on here? We have something breaking. Okay, no. James Dennehy, the head of the FBI's New York office, is out 1 month after he urged colleagues to, quote, dig in against Trump after the new administration requested the names of all agents who worked on the Capitol riot cases. This is how NBC is posturing here. And it says here, the head of the FBI's New York field office was forced out on Monday, a month after he urged his employees to dig in after the Trump administration removed senior FBI leaders and requested the names of all agents who worked on January 6 cases. So a month later, after all that, all of a sudden he's been forced out. Let's go to the next paragraph. In an email to staff members, James Dennehy confirmed that he had been ordered to leave. Late Friday, because I don't know what could have happened on Thursday or Friday. Late Friday, I was informed that I needed to put my retirement papers in today, which I just did. I was not given a reason for this decision. No, you have no idea, do you? No, you have no idea. Two of the sources said Dennehy was given a choice to resign or be fired. We're going to talk about this afterwards. We're going to talk about it. Last month, Dennehy wrote an email to his staff after the Trump Justice Department, led by Email Bove before Pam Bondi got there, demanded a list of all Bureau employees who had worked on criminal cases against Trump supporters who stormed the Capitol on January 6th. So we're 6 paragraphs in? Okay. Today we find ourselves in the middle of a battle of our own as good people are being walked out of the FBI, Dennehy wrote, and others are being targeted because solely they did their jobs in accordance with the law and FBI policy. So that's his story, and he's sticking to it. And NBC News, nope, we're not going to ask anything deeper. Time for me to dig in. Okay. Dennehy was referring to his ouster of 8 veteran FBI leaders, including the head of the Washington field office, who played roles in a criminal investigation of Trump while he was out of office. Trump administration officials also requested the names of all agents who had worked on January 6 cases. We're way down here, aren't we? Yeah, It is widely believed, yada, 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 his removal is likely to reignite fears of mass retaliation. Let's continue. The role in Eric Adams' investigation. The indictment of a sitting mayor, and they're still talking. Last month, Trump ordered federal prosecutors to drop the corruption charges against Eric Adams. Wow, all this, and you're not really getting to the point yet. Okay. They accused him of a quid pro quo, talking about Adams. The Trump Justice Department wanted the case dropped. Then he wouldn't do it. In a farewell email to colleagues on Monday, that would be today, then he urged FBI employees to act with integrity, maintain the independence of the FBI, and not allow politics to play a role in criminal investigations. As I leave today, I have an immense feeling of pride to have represented an office of professionals and yada, yada, yada. Talking about September 11th, January 6th. We're still scrolling. Trump's new director, Kash Patel, is a former federal prosecutor, congressional staffer, and national security official who yada, yada, yada. Dan Bongino, a pro-Trump podcaster and former Secret Service, January 6th. On Friday, Ed Martin, the interim U.S. Attorney for District of Columbia, demoted several officials. Trump has nominated Martin to stop the Steele organizer. And is there anything missing? All of a sudden, Pam Bondi says you either got to take the stairs or the window we're going to throw you out of. And nothing at all about what may have been? You're thinking it's because of January 6th? NBC, NBC, NBC. This guy gets ousted, and it's blinking neon lights as to why this guy was, told to leave. Not a mention of the demand, not a mention of the Epstein files, not even a word, not a single word about what happened last week. And so this is just something that just happened to happen. Poor guy. His time ran out. They don't even mention the word. So then you say, okay, how about Pam Bondi? She had just a big day, right? Pam, she posted 9 hours ago talking about the DOJ will never apologize for taking down dangerous criminals and taking them off of our streets. Thank you to the brave law enforcement officer in Boston who stepped up to protect those in need. And, drug overdoses, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, nothing. I got nothing for you. Like a ghost. Like it never even happened. Even though it's obvious something happened, but nobody is still yet talking about what happened last week that got all of you guys all upset. And I talked about it yesterday, and people got upset at me, and they were all yelling and going back and forth. Okay. See anything? Anything? What's very interesting about this, and I know I've already seen it on X, a lot of people are pissed off. Because this guy now, who has, up and resigned, instead of being fired, now gets to go on a cushy retirement gig. Probably end up, as a contributor on CNN or MSNBC. As of today, nothing has happened. So rather than fire y'all up again with, stories about, I'd love to know what you guys think about this. The fact that this guy, all of a sudden, he led the office that didn't comply, and he got asked to quit or retire, and he chose retirement because he gets to keep his benefits. And that's it. End of story. End of story. Did they walk out with boxes? Nope. He just decided to quit and retire. I'm looking at some of the comments here. It's a really touchy subject, Barry. Somebody asked me or said something to the other day, and they said, Barry, you're putting your opinion in it. I just read you the actual article. He resigned, retired with full benefits, and it had nothing to do with what happened last week. So I'm not twisting anything. I'm just telling you the news. It's up for you to decide what the hell is going on. This guy just like, yeah, okay, I'll retire. I don't want to deal with the January 6th stuff. We were gonna stick it out, and we were gonna stick it to Trump because we didn't want anything to happen. So you don't want me to be here because of January 6th. Yeah, I'll leave, and I'll take my cushy parachute on the way out. And I'll tell NBC and all the newspapers that the reason why I was asked to take the door or the window was because of January 6th, and there was no other questions. There was nothing else to discuss. Nothing. And people got mad at me last week, and I'm like, and they said I was putting an opinion in it. So right now, I'm not going to put an opinion in it. I just told you what happened. I just told you what the news people reported. That the guy was able to retire with full benefits. And he didn't get any jewelry on the way out. No, there was nothing. Yeah, okay, I'll leave. And not a single reference. None. Nothing from Pam Bondi. Not a single statement. Let's I forgot to check the other guy. Did Kash Patel say anything about the guy? I mean, because Kash Patel's his boss. And Kash Patel, being his boss, would be the one to actually say something, right? You would think. So let's see if Kash Patel said anything. We're on his page right now on X, where people who want news to be broke usually talk. March 1st, the message is clear. Justice will be served about the Mexicans. And then February 28th. Radio silence. Nothing. Oh, they must be doing something in the background. Might be. Maybe. But one guy just jumped in a huge parachute and just floating away. What do y'all think about that? Instead of me even giving you any opinion, and don't give me any conjecture about what may be happening or why this is happening or anything. Tell me about what you just saw. Tell me about what you just seen. The director of the FBI, silence. The Attorney General, silence. The FBI guy who just got poop canned, I'm leaving because of January 6th and I'm getting a full retirement. What's your opinion of that? Since I won't give you mine, people are like, Barry, you give too much. Tell me what you think. Who thinks we might be getting bamboozled? I don't know. People get mad. Okay, Carla says Bondi and Patel just took the reins. But yeah, they did. Why did the guy get a choice of retiring or getting fired? Just a question. I'll look to some of you to answer that one. Why was he given the opportunity to get the golden parachute, keep all his benefits, get the cushy job? I don't know. I saw a criminal walk out the door with all the money. I don't know. Joy says, I value your opinion. NBC is hiding the truth. Yeah, they're all hiding the truth. But the only way the truth hits the light is for people to talk about it. They completely ignored the lead. The lead was Epstein files. You're supposed to be a news source. Do you think anything happened last week to expedite this guy getting booted? Nothing. Not a thing. This is why people are pissed. Those of you who are under the auspices of it'll happen, it'll be when, it's coming, give them time. Those of you who are under that ideology, I understand. But you also have to understand OG MAGA. People who have lived through this since 2016 are going, oh, not again. No, not again. Are you telling me again, another time? You're new. I was talking to Ashley this morning, waiting for Hannity to come up here. I told you I usually have shows planned, and then something happens. Well, this happened. And then we got Hannity coming up at 9 with JD Vance, so we're going to take that. So we'll talk about this a little bit. So I was talking to Ashley this morning, and I know how old you are. Obviously, you're my daughter. I was like, do you remember what was said about all the stuff that was going on with Epstein 6 years ago? Like, no. Oh, 5 years ago? No. You see, most people, SV1 slow mode, most people who are relatively new to MAGA, and I welcome you, the problem that you're having with other people who have absolutely had it is that they have seen this movie so many times. You're seeing it now maybe for the first time. You're like, hey, listen, give her time, it's going to work. But it's hard to talk to the other people who have watched this, and they can almost script it for you and tell you, this is what's going on. I don't know where it's going to end, but we've seen the beginning of this. We've seen the prequel, and the prequel has led us to this point where people who have been around for a while have had so much exuberance, and it's like Lucy's yanking the football away from Charlie Brown again. So all I'm asking you is people who are, Bondi's going to do it, and Kash Patel, just give him time. You need to really listen to some of the other people who are absolutely pissed off. Because those people have been involved in this for quite some time. Those are the people who got booted off of early Twitter. Those are the people who read all of the drops. Those are the people who saw all of the pictures and information and talked about all the stuff we're not allowed to talk about. Those are the ones who spent nights and nights and nights and nights digging through so much stuff. Those are the ones who saw those files from last week, 6-7 years ago. So yes, I understand why they are pissed off. On the other hand, I understand you who may be new to the game going, what's the big deal? Give her some time. She just got here. I understand it's new to you. You haven't seen this fall apart for years and years and years. But both sides of you need to understand that. The new MAGA, and when I say new MAGA, I'm talking 2021 on. And old MAGA, 2016 from the beginning. Need to understand we're all in the same tent, and there are some scars, there are some serious scabs on people that the new people need to understand. And I think if you talk to each other and say, dude, what is wrong with you? Why are you so upset with Pam Bondi? Why are you saying she needs to be fired right now? They'll tell you. If you ask, you'll get the information. See, I hate to talk in code, but there's so much I could tell you, but that if NBC won't even mention it. Think about that. If NBC News won't even mention it, that tells you how deep this stuff really goes. And I mentioned to you people a number of times, when you're ready, find someone who's ready to tell you what they know. Because there is so much that you don't. And so don't get mad at people who are like, screw her, fire her, she's useless. Kash Patel, you lied to me. Don't get mad at them because you don't know what they've been through. And you guys who are pissed off, understand these people don't know what you're talking about. So this is where, we got to have a group hug, and we have to regroup. And some of you who are obviously angry about what you just saw need to let some of your compadres here know, hey man, this is what it's all about. This is why we're so upset. you may not know this. And then you tell them. They don't know. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody's mentioning anything about it. And it's awful. Somebody said here, why don't you send a message to Pam Bondi? Did the DOJ report, what? Did the DOJ report this? Why do you take anything that MSNBC says? Trump does not say anything I don't question. You want me to show you more references? I mean, seriously. Do you want to see all of them, including Fox? I just picked out one because it was big enough print where I could show it to you. And it wasn't MSNBC, it was NBC. It wasn't MSNBC. So it's not about believing anything. It's everywhere. Go on X. It's one of the biggest trending stories. And people are pissed off. So it's not about me showing you a biased report. I'm showing you what's being reported, and I also showed you Kash Patel's profile and Pam Bondi's profile, so you see there's nothing there. It's not me, man. It's going to be a poop show for a bit, but it's going to be okay. It very well could. I'm an OG too, but I'm giving it a bit more time. Good. Bondi blocked Loomer. I'm not going to speak ill of Laura, just like I won't speak ill of Pam Bondi. But here's what I'll say: when you look at somebody's past profile, and you go back to like 2016 and go, "Oh my God, they weren't OG MAGA; they were for Jeb Bush." Well, back in 2016, when Jeb Bush was running, he had what we all thought was a lot of power down here in Florida. He was a governor, two-term governor. Bush family, people thought that was going to be the person to be the president. And then Trump destroyed him at the debate. So I don't hold it against her that her profile from 2016 has her pictures with Jeb Bush. She was in Florida. Most of the people here thought he was going to be the man. It wasn't until Trump annihilated him, and people are like, "Oh, hey, this guy Trump, he's something." So I don't put too much into the fact that what's going on with them two. Barry, I think they are downplaying the firing retire so he doesn't panic and realize they are going to arrest him. So you think they're fooling a 20-year veteran of the FBI? Interesting. What would we rather have? Immediate arrest that the defense lawyers get acquittals on, or Pam do an ironclad case so these 254 victims get justice? Oh, you jumped the shark on that one, Utah Brumley. You see, he's not going to get convicted of doing anything with the dude who owned the island. He has nothing to do with that, more than likely. But there is a good case against somebody obstructing justice because he didn't do what his boss told him to do. So I'm not conflating those two things. I'm not saying that he's involved with, that guy. I'm just talking about specifically your boss told you to provide these documents and you were obstructing justice, and that's pretty easy to see. What's your defense? I didn't get the memo? Don't conflate the different things. They are not going to tell us everything. You're right. But then why did she send a letter and post it publicly? I'm just asking the questions. And want you to think. But in any event, it's not going to happen. All right, so who knows when this guy got fired, if they went to his computer or his stash, who knows? Nobody knows. But all I'm telling you is you have to understand why so many people are pissed off and why they've absolutely had it. And that's really the big problem. Disappointed in this pot-stirring narrative. Grifters everywhere. Relax. I don't know what she's all about. I'm not sure. I don't really follow her. I mean, it just seems like it's off to the next story. The whole thing is, and what my point with this is, for you guys all on both sides to just be able to look at things and see what's out there. You saw it. It was advertised on a couple shows. And then when it was advertised on a couple shows and things changed, and then Friday happened after Thursday, and then Monday by 8:01, I mean, you can see it yourself. Everybody that's saying, well, I'll give her a chance, understands you're the ones who are ignoring what's in front of you for whatever reason. Doesn't make you a bad person. I don't think it makes you a bad person at all. But I understand where other people are coming from who have been really, really entrenched in this for a long time. And we'll see. We'll see really soon when people say, here's a question for you. If people are saying they'll give her more time, just like with the fair share question, how much? How much time are you willing to give before you start seeing some action? 6 months? 12? A year and 18 months? How long before you think there's going to be enough where if there's something, it should be brought? That's just an easy question for you. That's just something you have to answer. All right, so we're right about 9 o'clock. Let's get ready to hear JD Vance. And the other thing I want to say before I switch over here is I love you either way. I'm just saying love each other and chill. Don't get mad at everybody. There's a lot going on. Let's listen to Hannity is about to introduce him, and I'll see you at the commercial break. All right? All right.
Tonight, we are back in the Washington swamp, the sewer, as we love to affectionately call it, and we are here to give you all an inside look into the incredible first few weeks of Donald Trump's second term. Just a few hours ago, we were at the Eisenhower Executive Office building just across from the White House for an exclusive interview with Vice President JD Vance. That full interview is only moments away. We'll also be joined right here on set by White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. We'll get our Hannity White House briefing, and the U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi. We'll talk about Epstein. We'll talk about a lot more. But first, breaking tonight, the United States is pausing all military aid to Ukraine until the country makes a commitment to good faith peace negotiations. This after the Ukrainian President Zelensky proclaimed that peace is, quote, still very, very far away. Now, keep in mind that Zelensky has already been given many, many opportunities to team up with the U.S. on a peace deal. And according to my numerous sources, Zelensky is now asking to come back to the White House, and he would now finally sign off on what he should have signed off on last week, and that is the rare earth minerals agreement that would bind our two countries together. But it's not going to happen when the president of Ukraine seems to want war in perpetuity, a war without the U.S. and without European money he could never even fight. Anyway, on Truth Social, President Trump called Zelensky's recent comments, quote, the worst statement that could have been made, and America will not put up with this much longer. This guy doesn't want there to be peace as long as he has America's backing. Don't forget, the rare earth mineral deal, that would be just phase one of President Trump's peace plan. The deal would put U.S. business interests on the ground in Ukraine, which itself would provide a significant deterrent to Vladimir Putin. It would also help Ukraine pay back the debt to the United States while also ensuring that U.S. funding continues and provide massive amounts of money that country will desperately need to rebuild their country. This keeps going, there's not going to be a country to rebuild. Phase two would be a ceasefire agreement, and phase three would be the negotiated settlement. This would be the hard part, and peace, hopefully, in Europe as a result. Zelensky can't even bring himself to sign off on phase one. Last week's tense meeting at the White House, in spite of what the fake news legacy media mob is telling you, was not an ambush. It was supposed to be a show of unity. It was supposed to be celebrating what was a done deal. It was supposed to be mostly ceremonial in nature. In fact, it was the third time Zelensky was supposed to sign off on that very same deal before trying to relitigate the agreement in the Oval Office at the last minute. But of course, the hysteria and anti-American sentiment in Europe is now spiking. Good luck on their own. One major gas company, Norway, vowed to boycott our U.S. Navy, refusing to refill our ship. Really? Norway, they stepped in. They're now promising that will not be the case. On X, only moments after Zelensky's contentious meeting at the White House, multiple European leaders posted their unwavering support for Zelensky's seemingly endless war. Then they hosted Zelensky for a meeting where they showered him with praise. Now, as Lindsey Graham said, if Europe wants to take this on all by themselves and protect their own continent, they're free to do so. But as Donald Trump pointed out on Truth Social, Europe, in the meeting they had with Zelensky, stated flatly they cannot do the job without the U.S. Probably not a great statement to have been made in terms of a show of strength against Russia. What are they thinking? He's right. President Trump raises a great question. What is Europe thinking? The United States spends nearly $1 trillion annually on defense. All of the countries in the European Union spend just about $326 billion combined. When it comes to funding Ukraine, the same disparity continues. The U.S. has been carrying far more of the financial burden than Ukraine's actual neighbors on their continent. And to top it off, Europe is actually sending more money to Russia, buying oil and gas, than aid to Ukraine. In fact, the EU bought a whopping $22 billion in fossil fuels from Russia in 2024 alone. Europe is making Putin filthy rich so he can continue to feed his war machine. America, we should be supplying Europe with all of their energy needs, and hopefully, under Donald Trump's plan, that will soon be the case as we move towards energy dominance. But if you want to know how Putin is funding his war, look no further than the European Union. Now, remember, Trump gave Angela Merkel that white flag of surrender after Germany did that multi-billion-dollar energy deal with Putin. So if Europe wants this war to continue with no end in sight, well, they're going to end up being on their own, and it's not going to end very well. And I'd like to see the killing stop. I'd like to see the destruction stop. And I'd like to see at least the rebuild of a country before it's too late. But as President Trump stands ready and willing to make a deal, earlier tonight, I asked Vice President JD Vance about this and so much more. Here's part one of our interview just a couple hours ago. Mr. Vice President, thank you for being with us.
Good to see you, man.
Appreciate it.
Great to be here.
Let's go back to the Oval Office Friday.
Yep.
From your perspective.
Yeah, great TV, as the president said. Yeah, well, you know, it's funny. So we have a 45-minute press conference, and the president normally does this, and I've seen this now 3 or 4 times with foreign leaders, where he likes to bring the media in, likes to have a conversation, but answer questions with the press. As you know, he's very open with reporters. And what I noticed is that for the first 25, 30 or so minutes, he tried to sort of bend over backwards to be gracious and kind to Zelensky, even when Zelensky was kind of needling him, even when Zelensky was saying things that I thought were untrue. The president just tried to be diplomatic, right? I think that's his natural instinct in that situation. And then when it really went off the rails, of course, is when I asked, or you had a Polish journalist who asked a question, the president answered it, and then I answered it. And then something about my answer just really set Zelensky off. So then he came at me.
So you're blaming yourself.
And then I went back at him. Right. And what I tried to do originally was actually try to diffuse the situation a little bit. Because I'm like, you know, we're having this meeting. Obviously, there are 100 television cameras here. Let's try to have this conversation in private. And then the president, as we kept on going back and forth, I tried again to say, well, maybe we should have this conversation in private. And the president was like, nope, actually, I don't want to have it in private anymore. I want to have this actual conversation in public for the American people to see. And I do think that there was just a certain sense of, there was a lack of respect. There was a certain sense of entitlement. And most importantly, look, we can look past all of that stuff, but the president has set a very clear goal for his administration. He wants the killing to stop. And I think that it's very important that President Zelensky and of course President Putin too, they've both got to come to the negotiating table, and that's ultimately where things broke apart. I really don't care what President Zelensky says about me or anybody else, but he showed a clear unwillingness to engage in the peace process that President Trump has said is the policy of the American people and of their president. That's the real breakdown. Is I think Zelensky wasn't yet there, and I think frankly now still isn't there, but I think he'll get there eventually. He has to.
My understanding is he tried to get back in, or tried to stay a number of times, and then made numerous calls to come back. Is that true?
I don't know about numerous calls, but they certainly made at least one request to come back in and continue the conversation. The president was like, look, first of all, they were disrespectful, and second of all, what are we even going to talk about? They've shown a clear unwillingness to discuss the peaceful settlement that President Trump is trying to bring to the situation. I think a lot of Americans are sort of, it's useful to step back and ask ourselves, what is the actual plan here? You can't just fund the war forever. The American people won't stand for it. And by the way, Sean, if you look at European opinion polls, the Europeans aren't going to stand forever for it either. We need to bring this thing to a peaceful settlement. The president was trying to do that. He'll continue to try to do that, but you've got to have two to tango. You've got to have a negotiating partner in the Ukrainians who recognize that, of course they have their views, and of course they're not always going to agree with us, but they've got to participate in the conversation. They weren't willing to do that on Friday, so the president said send him home.
He said today that the war he expects will go on a very long time. I don't know where he's going to get the money to fund that war. I have my doubts that Europe will fund the war to the level that Biden and Harris were funding it. And then the issue now has come up whether or not this administration will continue to offer money and arms for this war to continue. Because without America, I would argue the president was right in saying they have no cards.
Yeah, well, Sean, I think our European friends, frankly, are being really they're doing a disservice to the Ukrainians because their own populations are saying, we're not going to fund this war indefinitely. The American people are saying, we don't want to fund the war indefinitely. So the only thing that is in the best interest of America, of Russia, of Ukraine, and of Europe is to bring this thing to a close. What happened, Sean, is you have Zelensky. He goes to Europe, and a lot of our European friends puff him up. They say, you're a freedom fighter. You need to keep fighting forever. Well, fighting forever with what? With whose money, with whose ammunition, and with whose lives? The president is actually taking a much more realistic perspective and saying this can't go on forever. We can't fund this thing forever. The Ukrainians can't fight forever. So let's bring this thing to a peaceful settlement.
When I interviewed Zelensky, he wouldn't give me direct answers. I asked him about the mineral deal to pay the U.S. back. To me, there's three phases in this. And my understanding was Friday was supposed to be relatively ceremonial.
It was.
And then that it was supposed to be we signed the mineral deal. That's part one. Part two would be a ceasefire. Part three would be the hardest part, the negotiated settlement with Putin, who, correct me if I'm wrong, said he's willing to talk peace with Trump.
Yeah, he said he's willing to talk peace, and of course we trust but verify. We want to have the conversation. We don't assume that everything that anybody tells us is true. That's why we want to engage in this conversation. But you're exactly right, Sean. When the Ukrainians came to Washington on Friday, it was supposed to be ceremonial. There had been some public back and forth, some disagreements, some words spoken in public, and the president was like, let's have this moment. We give some credit to the brave Ukrainian fighters, and of course it's a very brave army that they have there in Ukraine. Let's sign this minerals deal, which importantly does two things. It allows the American people to get some of their money back, but it also shows the Ukrainian people that America has a long-term investment in their sovereignty. You do those things, we'll sign this thing, we'll have a rah-rah moment, and then we'll get to the tough talk of negotiating peace. We couldn't even get the Ukrainians to a point where they could talk about the peaceful settlement. And look, in some ways, Sean, I get it. I get the frustration. I get the rage. It's their country. Of course, it's not our country. But you've got to accept, cooler heads have got to prevail. This thing cannot go on forever. This is the important point. I'd say this to are of course, most importantly, the Americans who are watching, but people all over the world. When you talk to leaders in private, whether they're Ukrainian or European, when you talk to people in private, they will tell you this cannot go on forever. There aren't enough Ukrainian lives, there isn't enough American money, and there isn't enough ammunition to fund this thing indefinitely. The only realistic pathway to bringing this thing to a settlement is President Trump's pathway. We encourage both President Zelensky and President President Putin to follow that path?
Well, I mean, hundreds of billions of dollars have been spent, and this came up in the discussion Friday. The Biden administration called Putin every name in the book, and they've been trying to get the president.
And he still invaded anyway.
Okay, he still invaded anyway. Well, remember, it depends if it's a minor incursion. Let's go back to that moment, which I thought as troops were amassing on the border. But I go back and I think about this, and Biden spent all of this money, called Putin all of these names. The media and the Democrats, they want Donald Trump to call him names. And the president addressed that.
Thing.
And then he's supposed to call him and say, Vladimir, you ready to talk a peace now?
Yeah.
That's not going to work.
No, it's diplomacy 101, right? Is you have to have a reasonable relationship with somebody to be able to even start the conversation. We have to remember, Sean, Ukraine, half of the country, a third of the country is totally destroyed. The economy is depressed. You've got hundreds of thousands of dead Ukrainians. Of course, a lot of dead Russians as well. The president wants to negotiate a settlement. How can you negotiate if you can't even talk to somebody? And that's what he said. He's not saying, like, nobody's suggesting, as Secretary Rubio said, no one is suggesting that we give the Nobel Peace Prize to Vladimir Putin. What we're saying is it's important for President Trump to be able to have a conversation. That's not well served by standing up at a press conference and calling the guy every negative name in the book. By the way, as we just said, President Biden called Putin every single name in the book. What did it lead to? It led to war. It led to destruction. It led to conflict.
That's not me. It's
President Trump is trying to bring this thing to a close. You got to be able to talk to somebody to do that.
Is the door open? President Trump said Friday he can come back if he wants peace.
That's not me. That's Fox's buffering. Hold on, let me see if it catches up again. And if it doesn't catch up, what I'll do is reset it. Check 1 2, check 1 2. Okay, hold on. Let me refresh just in case there's something wrong with this feed. Hold on. Resetting.
You make of European leaders, quote, their voices of solidarity this weekend, because it's Lindsey Graham, who's been very supportive of Ukraine in this conflict. I mean, he was livid.
Yes.
And he said, if they want to now defend their own continent, let them go ahead and do it. Good luck to them.
Yeah, and my message to Ukrainians, by the way, to President Zelensky is, when you've lost Lindsey Graham, that means you need to come to the negotiating table and recognize Donald Trump is the only game in town. He's the only person who I think has a meaningful plan to save that country. But Sean, here's the problem with the Europeans. And a lot of these guys are our friends, they're our allies. We, of course, the president has a great relationship with a lot of European heads of state, and so do I, but they need to be realistic. And the craziest part about this, Sean, is that sometimes you'll have European heads of state who in public will puff up their chest and say, we're in it with President Zelensky for the next 10 years. And then in private, they'll pick up the phone and say, this can't go on forever. He has to come to the negotiating table. So I honestly don't care what the Europeans say in public. What I care is what they say in private, and what they need to be saying to President Zelensky is, this can't go on forever. The bloodshed, the killing, the economic devastation, it's making everyone worse off. The only pathway, I think, back to peace and prosperity is what the president is trying to accomplish.
And now we look back in time and we see Joe Biden was beginning to understand that the patience of the American people is running thin.
That's right.
Hundreds of billions of dollars. We're a nation with nearly 40 trillion in debt. Yep. I mean, it's too much.
Well, Sean, this is an important point, though, because I was a United States Senator, for the last 2 years of the Biden administration. I got elected in 2022. I think you like this job better? I think I like this job a lot better. I certainly like the president a lot better. And here's the thing, when you would talk to the Biden administration officials in private, it's another example of a terrible situation the Biden admin left the Trump administration. When you ask them, what's the plan? Okay, we're going to spend tens of billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars in Ukraine. What is your plan? And they would honestly tell you, well, we're just going to send them weapons for as long as we can and hope eventually they can turn the tide. Hope is not a strategy. Throwing money and ammunition at a terrible conflict, that is not a strategy. The only guy in town with a strategy is the President of the United States, and everybody needs to follow his lead.
What scares me is Zelensky, when he says it's going to go on for years, how many more lives are going to be lost? He's not going to have a country to save at the end of that. The minerals deal would have provided the monies to rebuild their country and a strong U.S. presence and maybe European troops as well.
And this is an important part of it. The president knows that, look, if you want real security guarantees, if you want to actually ensure that Vladimir Putin does not invade Ukraine again, the very best security guarantee is to give Americans economic upside in the future of Ukraine. That is a way better security guarantee than 20,000 troops from some random country that hasn't fought a war in 30 or 40 years. The security guarantee and also the economic guarantee for Ukraine is to rebuild the country and ensure that America has a long-term interest. You're not going to do that if you come to the Oval Office, insult the president, and refuse to follow his plan for peace.
If he called, and I hate hypothetical questions,
sure,
forgive me. If he called tomorrow and said, I am ready to adopt your plan for peace, he can come back?
I think that if he called and had a serious proposal for how he was going to engage in the process, look, there are details that really matter that we're already working on with the Russians. We've already talked with some of our allies. He needs to engage seriously on the details. I think once that happens, then absolutely we want to talk to the Ukrainians.
Are you convinced Putin and the Russians are willing to meet them, I don't want to say the word halfway, they're willing to do their part to achieve a negotiated settlement?
Am I convinced? No. But do I think that there's a real pathway? You got to trust but verify. You got to engage in the negotiation. You've got to see what steps people are willing to take. This is another thing, Sean, obviously I'm biased because I really love the guy, but when the media attacks President Trump as somehow on the side of Putin, two big problems with that. First of all, the only president in 20 years where you haven't had the Russians take a bunch of territory was under the first term of Donald J. Trump. The second part of that is you've got to actually accept that President Trump, he's not just assuming that everything the Russians tell him is true, he's negotiating with them. There's a give and take. There's a trust but verify. That's called diplomacy. We used to have some respect for that in Washington, D.C.
And coming up, more of my exclusive interview with the Vice President, JD.
Okay, so news is breaking right now while he's on commercial. Perfect timing. It's actually just coming out right now. And this is, there's a lot to go along with this. We thought about this last week when they said they had reached a deal. And like, did they really reach a deal? That's what a lot of people were asking. Because, oh, yeah, they were all high-fiving each other. We got a deal, we got a deal, we got a deal. No, we ain't got a deal. We ain't got a deal. So here's what is being talked about right now. Negotiations to avert a shutdown sputter as disputes over DOGE cuts persist. Trump and congressional leaders have lost hope in a full government funding deal and have pivoted towards a stopgap bill for the rest of the fiscal year, but even that is proving difficult. Congress is careening toward a government shutdown in just 11 days as the discord between the two parties over funding talks grow with no clear path to reach a deal. The government is set to run out of money at the end of next Friday, March 14th. Republicans, and this is very important here, Republicans control the House. However, they need Democrat support to pass a bill which is subject to 60 votes. So that's where the problem is at this point. If this goes to a shutdown, in order for the government to, per se, reopen, they will need 60 votes to bring it back, which means they will have to, for lack of a better word, acquiesce to the Democrats. And I can tell you why they pulled this junk tonight at 7 p.m. I can tell you why. Because I bet you, if you dug into this, you're going to find out that the timestamp is probably right after President Trump said he's not giving Ukraine any money. And that pissed off all the Democrats. What do you mean you're not funding Ukraine? What do you mean I can't get my kickbacks? So they're saying now, and they're taking a hard line, saying, well, we just have to shut it down. And, of course, they'll each point their fingers at the other person to say it's going to shut down. I'm pretty sure Trump doesn't care. Shut it down, except for the fact that you're going to need 60 votes to reopen. So now you got an ultimate game of chicken at this point, because I don't think the Republicans want to get to a position where, you need to have 60 votes to get something done. And I don't think the Democrats want to play chicken with Trump and see where that goes. we are in such a bad place. I mean, somebody had earlier said, Barry, you're just being so negative. Negative? Negative left. We passed negative like 6 exits down on the highway. We're way past negative. We're at real town at this point. Real town is we're about to see this government shut down. These people are playing all kinds of games. You think they're pissed off now? You think they're pissed off now because he decided he's not going to fund Ukraine? Wait till you see him tomorrow night after this State of the Union thing, State of the Union address to Congress, whatever you want to call it. Wait till you see tomorrow night how pissed they get. I'm told that this thing is supposed to be epic. Caroline Leavitt said, her exact words were, it's going to be must-see TV. So Trump's on a bit of a roll. He's feeling his oats. He thinks he's got some muscle behind him. He told Zelensky, get bent. And now he's putting together his own coalition with Javier Milei, Giorgia Meloni, the guy from El Salvador, Viktor Orban from Hungary, and you're starting to see people align according to where they want to go. Then you got the big mouth guy from Canada, not Trudeau. The guy's name is Ford, who's threatening to turn off electricity in the United States. Remember the 10 days of darkness. Just telling you. Go look that up. 10 days of darkness. But he's openly saying right now, if you give us a tariff, we're going to put he didn't say 10 days of darkness. He just said we're going to turn off your electricity. So I don't know what parts of the country get fed by Canadian electricity, but he's threatening to shut down electricity. These people are going to go for broke. They have nothing to lose. The entirety of their globalist agenda is going down in flames. Back to JD Vance.
Is the media and Democrats that ignorant? Have you not figured out that means, oh, let's negotiate?
Exactly.
And they seem not to want to understand that part of them. You said at the Munich Security Conference, and I want to quote it directly, biggest threat to Europe is not Russia or China. You talked about the retreat of Europe from fundamental values. The threat is from within.
Yes.
And you went on to talk about digital censorship and canceling elections. That was a powerful condemnation of what is really happening there.
I appreciate it. And it's also, by the way, Sean, a condemnation of what the Biden administration was doing. This is one of the things that I think the Europeans didn't appreciate about the speech is the biggest driver of mass censorship in the last 5 years, it actually wasn't the Europeans. They were the victims of it in a lot of ways. It was coming from the Biden administration. This whole crazy left-wing idea that we're not allowed to debate ideas, that we're not allowed to discuss things, that we have to silence people, censor them, throw them in jail for silently praying outside of an abortion clinic. These ideas are going to destroy Western civilization. They're going to destroy Europe, and they would destroy the United States of America if we allowed them to fester. Thank God we have a president now who believes in free speech, but the danger is still there. The danger is there in Europe. The danger is there in the United States of America. We have to ask ourselves the questions as leaders. Are we willing to defend people even if we disagree with what they say? If you're not willing to do that, I don't think you're fit to lead Europe or the United States of America.
If you're running in fear of your own voters, there is nothing America can do for you.
Exactly right.
You said it at the same conference.
That's exactly right. There's nothing that we can do for you if you're terrified of your own people. And Sean, you see this every single day. What are some of the biggest drivers of violence in these European societies? It's mass migration. It's people who haven't assimilated into European societies, who are driving cars into Christmas festivals, killing tons of innocent people. And very often, the European response to that is not to say, oh, well, maybe we should get control of our own borders. The response is to try to silence and shut down their own citizenry. That is a danger in Europe. It was a danger under Joe Biden in the United States of America. And look, of course, China is a major threat. It's a major competitor over the next few years, over the next few decades. But I have no doubt that America and Europe could take on whatever threats so long as we're strong internally. That's the biggest risk to our civilization. It's that weakness internally. That's what we have to fix.
The Democratic Party now, they want long protracted wars. The Democratic Party championing men to play in women's sports. The Democratic Party putting the rights of illegals over the safety of Americans and defending what will be hundreds of trillions of dollars in waste, fraud, abuse, corruption. How does that end for them?
I think it ends very, very poorly. And the American people are a lot smarter than the Democrats give them credit for. You cannot shut up your fellow citizens, force biological men to play in sports with girls, which, by the way, isn't just insulting to the girls, it's actually dangerous to
Title
the girls. Title IX, it's some of these sports are very violent. You don't want to have biological men against women. It's crazy. And the Democrats, again, there's this crazy idea in the Democratic Party that if you just repeat insane ideas, eventually the American people are going to believe them. We actually think the American people are smart and we should listen to them rather than preach at them. And I think that's the core right now of the president's political strength.
Last question. Tomorrow, you'll be sitting in a very prominent seat. Are you excited about your seating chart for the State of the Union?
I'm excited about the speech. It's going to be a little unusual to have the camera on me for, an hour and a half and every reaction that I have. But I think, as the thing that I've learned, Sean, is people always say when you're on camera, try to be stoic and try not to show your cards. I'm going to have fun tomorrow because the President of the United States, he's going to make a lot of good arguments. He's going to talk about a lot of the successes that we've had in these first 45 days. He's also going to be himself, which means he's going to poke a little fun, and we're going to have a good time tomorrow, so I'm just going to try to enjoy it.
Well, it seems like when I first interviewed you, it seems like it's sunk in. You now know you're the vice president. So you're like, okay, this is a little new, but Mr. Vice President, you're always generous with your time. We really appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank
man.
you so much.
Yeah, good to see you, Sean.
Luckily, I knew Sean was going to play games and not have a full interview, even though he says he's going to have an interview. So I got a whole bunch of stuff to go over with you, mostly stuff about Ukraine. It's getting a lot of questions about this potential government shutdown and what about, getting power shut off. So I don't know who's connected to the Canadian grid. I know I'm not down here in Florida, so I don't know who is, but this is what this guy said, and there's a whole video. If you want, I can download and say it. But Ontario Premier Doug Ford promises to cut off energy to the United States as retaliation against the tariffs. If they want to try and annihilate Ontario, I will do everything, including cutting off their energy with a smile on my face. I don't know if he's got it like that. I can't tell you. I don't know what grid gets fed from Canada. I can't imagine that we are reliant on Canada to provide electricity for any part of America, but that's what he said. He actually came out and said that. Kind of scary if he does. I guess you'll find out if tomorrow they do he's going to do the tariffs, what some people are going to, how they're going to react. Because that retaliatory, we just go in there and take the power from him. I don't know. But he's hold on, let me see what he says, if he says where. I think, let me go ahead and download this and let you guys hear. I can't, okay, because it's a different size. But he said he'll do it with a smile on his face. So we're getting to the crux of a lot of different things, very, very quickly. The government shutdown. Let's take a couple of seconds about that. Everything except non-essential. Everything except essential services. Non-essential stuff will go away. You won't be able to go to Yosemite. You won't be able to go to parks and park rangers. They won't be there. You won't be able to go to the Washington Monument. So if you got vacation, you won't be. They'll go ahead and shut that down. All those things that aren't essential will get shut down. You're still going to get your pay if you're on Social Security. You're still going to get your pay and be able to if you're on Medicaid or VA. None of that stuff is affected. Government, soldiers, everybody, they may not get paid, but they get their back pay in a lump sum. It comes back to them as soon as it opens. But more importantly, the Democrats will use this as a cudgel. They want to get rid of Doge. This is their way to get rid of Doge. They are going to use Doge. They are going to use Ukraine. And they're going to try and force that stuff and make Trump acquiesce in order for them to even think about signing. So what you're going to see over the next, 14, so you got 11 days 11 days of chaos is what you're going to see. If this thing continues the way they're talking about and what they want to do, you're going to see 11 days of chaos, and we're not going to know probably until the last moment what they're actually going to try and keep or shut down, if it gets that far. I know, and you know at the same time, that these people don't take kindly to the money being pulled away from Ukraine. So that's going to be a big, big problem as well. They don't like the whole idea with the tariffs. That's going to be a big problem. So understand, you're about to see a fight of epic proportions, because they don't want any of the stuff that Trump's doing, and they don't have any leadership, and all they're going to try and do is cause havoc. So get ready for it. To hell with the Dems. Yeah, it's going to get... I'm not worried. My husband's electrician. Okay. Canadian electricity. I don't know who gets fed it. Okay, somebody. Thank you for doing this. Emma Gem says, Grok says, New York, Michigan, and Minnesota are the closest to Ontario. So maybe something up there happens. Alan, you're absolutely right. The government never shuts down. They always seem to have, well, it's done a couple times, but they always seem to have these last-minute deals. The problem with the last-minute deal is, in order to have the last-minute deal, they are going to force some concessions. I tell you right now, they're going to force some concessions, and it may be Doge. This might be the hill they're willing to die on. Dear Democrats, no one cares what you like or don't like anymore. Yep, and this is where they're headed. So we need 60 senators to get anything done. I had actually, who was? I believe it was Buddy Carter, or the interview before that. He said we need to have this deal done, because if it shuts down, you need 60 to reopen. That's why you want to avert the shutdown with the continuing. They thought they had a deal. But if it goes off the cliff, it stays off the cliff unless 60 senators agree. So that's the only reason to prevent it from going off the cliff, is because it's not coming back without 60 votes. Yikes. Absolutely yikes. Excuse me. Doge says, Doge stays, period. Yeah, that's what they're going to want. They're going to want to take that, and they're going to want to get the money back to Ukraine. Let them do it. I'm not worried. MAGA is tough. Yeah, if we lose Doge, what can Trump do? I'm in the Pacific Northwest, but we get our power from the Bonneville Dam in Portland. Who owns that? Is that by the state, or is that by the government? I'm not sure here. Let me look and see what's Hannity doing. All right, so he that was it for the JD Vance. All right, so let me get on with what I had prepared for you, and then we can talk about. But I centered everything tonight around Ukraine, because this is a big story. He didn't touch on it enough. He talked about the fight, but let's dig into what's going on with Ukraine. And so the first part of this is what you just heard. President Trump said he is shutting it down.
Reporting the United States is pausing all U.S. military aid to Ukraine until President Trump determines the Ukrainians show a commitment of good faith peace negotiations. That's according to a senior Trump administration telling Fox. This is not a permanent termination of aid. It is a pause. The orders are going out right now. The official said this in response to Ukrainian President Zelensky's conduct over the last week and his words over the weekend. So it's all stopping, Brian.
Yeah, well, he needs an apology. President Trump says, I need a direct apology. This could be fixed with a phone call. Sorry if things went off the rails. Liked the first 45 minutes of our talk. Didn't like the last 10. So let's get this thing back on track. I understand what you mean, and let's do it. And then you put the ball in Russia's court, and let's see how sincere they are. But it's going to take a call from Zelensky to Trump directly, and I'm sure he'd take the call. The guy does not hold grudges.
Leslie, this is going to be part of that speech. Democrats, some of them saying they're going to boycott the speech. How do you think this all plays?
I'm not a big...
Before she begins, that's another thing I'll be covering tomorrow. Just to let you know, I'm broadcasting basically all day. So the plan is, a whole bunch of interviews throughout the day. In between, I've got Trump's former State of the Union speeches all queued up and ready during downtime, in between the interviews and dropping news. But I'm going to go live at 9:30 in the morning. First interview at 10 o'clock with General Michael Flynn. So we're kicking off the day hard. General Michael Flynn will be here at 10 a.m. Hopefully nothing comes up where he can't make it, but he's here. We'll be ready to go. So this being what he just mentioned, a bunch of the Democrats now are playing like little brats, and they're like, we're not even going to go to the state. I keep calling it the State of the Union. It really is the State of the Union, but they don't call it a State of the Union when it's the first one, a month after or so after you got inaugurated. So they just call it a joint address. But in any event, it is a joint address, and a bunch of the Democrats just said, we're not going. We don't care.
Fan of boycotts. I'm also not a big fan of pre-rebuttal. Let's see what the guy has to say. Show up. That's what people vote for you to do. And by the way, when's Putin going to apologize to Zelensky for invading his sovereign nation? Just wondering.
True. Absolutely. You're right.
There you go. Panel, thanks so much.
Is the Ukraine minerals deal now dead, or can it be revived?
Well, I'll let you know. We're making a speech. You probably heard about it tomorrow night, so I'll let you know tomorrow night. But no, I don't think so. I think it's a great deal for us because, Biden very, very foolishly, stupidly, frankly, gave $300 billion and $350 billion more accurately to a country.
I gotta take this. Hold on. Got some breaking news for you. Hold on.
Let's look through them as fast as we can, get it out to the American people, because the American people have a right to know, not only on that, but on Kennedy, on Martin Luther King, on all of these cases that the Biden administration has just sat on for all these years. So yeah, it's really. It's not sad, it's infuriating that these people thought that they could sit on this information, but they can't. It's a new day, and we believe in transparency, and it's going to come out. And when we redact things, Sean, what we're going to do is not just pull pages out like they used to do. If something's redacted, you will know the line, and you will know why it's redacted, like a victim's name, identifying information of a victim.
Let's talk a little bit about the DOJ prior to your arrival. I believe it was weaponized. How do we prevent that from ever happening again? I believe that once the FBI was the world's premier law enforcement agency, and that was weaponized and politicized. I believe the same with our intel community. How do we restore these institutions to their former greatness?
Well, first and foremost, we got rid of the Jack Smith team. Gone. Yeah. Those people are gone. We're still trying to find out. There are a lot of people in the FBI and also in the Department of Justice who despise Donald Trump, despise us, don't want to be there. We will find them because you have to believe in transparency. You have to believe in honesty. You have to do the right thing. And right now, we're going to root them out. We will find them, and they will no longer be employed. But again, we're starting at every level of the Justice Department, Sean, and getting rid of the worst of the worst. But there are a lot more people that shouldn't be there. But there are a lot of good people who are out there now risking their lives every day making these cases. Today we made a huge case involving a Guatemalan, an illegal from Guatemala, one of the largest human trafficking rings in the country. 20,000 people being smuggled into this country from Guatemala. That arrest was made in California. Last week, an illegal was arrested in New York for ISIS, funding ISIS. It's constant. We are going to get out there. We're going to arrest the bad people, take them off the streets, and restore the Justice Department to what it was made to do, fight violent crime.
Were you, or are you up to this point, I know it's very early in your tenure,
a few weeks.
Are you at all shocked at how things were running before you got there?
Shocked. Yeah.
Shocked.
Never thought. Cash and I, Patel, talk about this all the time. We knew it was bad. We never knew how bad. And especially on the criminal side and on the people who are in there. Well, you've heard the story, of course. I went up, I was visiting the floors. I walk up to the 7th floor of the National Security, and I couldn't get in there because it's a SCIF. Well, that's how it was secure.
Yeah.
But my detail managed to get me in there. They still had a picture of Joe Biden on the wall and Kamala Harris. That's how bad it was. So I personally took those off the wall. But that's the tip of the iceberg.
What about when you talk about people in the DOJ that have an awful lot of power, and maybe what they did to Donald Trump is unprecedented. Evaluation of Mar-a-Lago, the double standard with the rate of Mar-a-Lago, the FISA abuse, Russia lie, a dirty misinformation dossier signed 3 times by a former FBI head, in that case, James Comey. Are these all on the table to get to the bottom of over time?
Everything's on the table, Sean. We're going to look at everything. And as I said, the Jack Smith team, gone. That was low-hanging fruit, really.
Right.
Get rid of them. Get rid of the people that raided the president's home
We
at
look
Mar-a-Lago.
into what they did?
Everything's being looked into. Everything. And right now, we are hiring great lawyers, great people around us who we can trust. Right now, the numbers are very small. But now that we have cash in, it's made it a lot easier at the FBI. But he's dealing with what we're dealing. You know, the great men and women of DEA, ATF, the U.S. Marshals. We're all working together to fight violent crime. And it's a shame that a few people have given them such a bad name, as well as the Department of Justice.
It sounds daunting. It sounds like a massive list. It doesn't sound like you're going to be sleeping a lot in the next 4 years.
None of us will, but it's worth it. It's worth it to fight for the American people and to keep America safe.
Amen. Pam, thank you for coming in. Good to see you. Thank you.
too.
When we come back.
Okay, so I was talking and I happened to see her on. I'm going to see right now if I can rewind to where she came on. I'm not sure if I can. Hold on, let me just check this. No, I can't. There's no way to rewind on it. So that's going to be it in terms of what she said. Hold on. Yeah, there's no way to, it's live streaming, so I can't. It's not a tape. I can't rewind it. So you heard her. You guys all heard what she was saying and where she wants to take things. So that's where we are. Let's see here. Don't underestimate her capabilities. Okay. We have no idea what they walked into. We just need to trust it's going to happen. We need to be praying for their safety. What else we got here? Some of you guys are saying pretty face but empty words. On the other side, tribunals are coming. I'm going to be patient with Bondi and Cash based on her acknowledgement that things are worse than expected. They're not getting any internal support. It's funny. It is both sides. I need action. Blue Now says not convinced. A lot of work. There's a lot of work here. Exactly. MAGA knows the playbook. Barry shouldn't let folk browbeat him. It's his show. I don't feel browbeat. I know people have a strong opinion here. My thing is I don't want anyone to feel like a person's opinion is more strong than someone else's opinion, and I think everyone should be able to voice their opinion and without feeling like they're going to be attacked. Let's see what else here. Bonnie's mistake is she didn't look at the file. She did arrest a senior FBI agent for obstruction of justice. Arrest or nothing else. Yeah, I understand. I believe in you, Pam. It's a touchy thing. And somebody had asked me earlier about, which I said, I didn't say anything about wavering on support. I didn't say anything about I feel she's not ready. The only thing I was telling you was exactly what was reported. Me personally, my feeling is, and I said it last night and I'll say it again, whatever that guy did and whatever his accomplice did, I don't wonder if that's still as important as the other stuff, meaning find the kids who are in it right now. They're still out there. There's still 300, 400, depending on what number, 400,000 or 500,000 kids still being shuffled around. Find that. The other stuff will keep and get time to go through it. I don't even know what people are looking for with these files. That's another thing. absent the names, which we don't know, absent the names, what are the files going to do for anybody? Because if they're going to redact the victims, all you're going to see is, who flew. I mean, like I said, the flight manifests have been out for years. What exactly are you looking for? That'd be a good question. Put it in the chat. What are you looking for other than names? Is there anything you want to see in the Epstein files other than names? They're not going to show you pictures. They're not going to show you videos. So if you get these files, I would love to know what people are going to be looking for if you don't get the names. What else is it you want? Because maybe that's how she meets expectations. She can say, I'm going to dump all these files, but there's no names. Then how would you feel? Because that would be something she could probably say, hey, there's nothing here. They've already been deleted. So, yeah, Scott Reagan says nothing. It doesn't affect me one bit. Client list. We talking about names, transcripts of what? Depositions. So all that's going to be is like the tawdry stuff. You want to hear what somebody made somebody do? I'm not interested in doing that. I'm not interested in seeing that. I want to know if those that were on the island are going to prison. Yeah, I would love to know that as well. If it comes, we won't get hung up on the subject. We have so much more to fight for. There's kids already out there, crazy. All right, let's continue with more about Ukraine. Caroline Leavitt is due to come up next, and she's going to do an interview. She's probably going to be talking about I'm just going to call it the State of the Union tomorrow night. Do you guys want to hear Caroline Leavitt? You want me to go with the Ukraine stuff? It's up to you. I can go either way, but I think she's on deck to be in the next interview. Or she's going to be talking about investment. Anyway, Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary, is on deck to come up and talk to Hannity. Let's see here. He's talking about the theme. Here, let's listen to this because this is interesting.
American dream here now with our Hannity Washington briefing, our very own White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt. How are you? It's great to see you.
It's great to see you in person, Sean.
I know.
Thanks for having me.
The only good reason to be to the swamp is to see you, JD, and Pam. That's about it. And the president, when I do get to see him as well. This is major news. I know everyone wants to talk about tariffs, bad, bad, bad. No, why don't people understand the president is a never-ending negotiator? Mm-hmm.
He's a never-ending negotiator. It's the art of the deal. But also, the president has proven, as he did in his first terms, that tariffs can bring good-paying jobs back here to the United States of America. They protect critical industries here at home. And President Trump is serious when he says he wants to make America the manufacturing superpower of the world. And we have the ability to do it. We have the best resources and the best people. But unfortunately, we've been ruled by a political class that has sold us out for far too long. And we've allowed other nations around the world to rip us off. So your audience should be aware that tonight, 12:01 a.m., tariffs on Mexico and China are going into effect, and another 10% on China, 25% on Mexico, 25% on Canada. And the reason is because we cannot continue to allow fentanyl to pour into our country and kill our people. I bet you every single person watching your show tonight knows somebody who has died at the hands of Chinese fentanyl that has come through our northern or southern border. And one American life is one too many. And these tariffs are necessary to continue to put the pressure on these countries to secure our borders.
Did you see this as a big movement by Mexico to allow us to, by handing over some of these cartel leaders? Is that their way of saying, please don't put the tariffs on us? And the president saying, no, you got to do everything I want.
We have certainly seen an increase of cooperation from Mexico and also from Canada. But over the past 4 years under the previous administration, they allowed thousands of pounds of Chinese produced fentanyl into our country. Last year alone, through the southern border, 4.8 billion people could have died for the amount of fentanyl that came through our borders. At the northern border, there was enough fentanyl to kill 9.8 million people. That's up 2,050% since 2023, the year prior. 2,050% increase. These countries have to be held accountable for that. Fentanyl is the leading cause of death in this country from ages 18 to 34. And if you talk to the families and the parents who have lost their children at the hands of this deadly poison, they will tell you they are grateful for the president finally taking strong action to end this epidemic and this crisis in our country.
You were in the room when President Zelensky was there on Friday. What was your take?
It was my take that President Zelensky, unfortunately, was ungrateful to the American taxpayer. And frankly, putting aside my job as President Trump's spokeswoman, as an American citizen, it was incredibly profound to watch our president actually stand up for us, for the tax-paying American law-abiding citizen who is sick and tired of seeing hundreds of billions of dollars go out the door every single year when we have real problems in our country here. And President Trump wants to end this war. He campaigned on this. He talked about it at every single rally across the country. And unfortunately, President Zelensky is not in the mindset to negotiate peace. And I think, frankly, it was incredibly refreshing to watch the president and the vice president stand up for America and to have that be before the world to see. The world was able to finally watch what President Trump and his team have been dealing with behind closed doors, which is a hard-headedness, unfortunately, from President Zelensky and the Ukrainians in negotiating a true peace deal with Russia.
You're the youngest White House press secretary in history.
I am.
I watch you mostly without any notes at all. And the ease with which you deal with some people that we both know are pretty hostile towards President Trump, and you do it with a smile and ease. Were you always that at ease with public speaking, which happens to be most people's number one fear?
Well, I do think God gives everybody unique gifts and skills, and I guess public speaking is one of mine.
You gave me a big mouth.
But I do work for a great boss who makes my job quite easy because he says something and he does it. So there's no spin. It's all truth. We have the facts on our side, you know, in explaining these tariffs, right? Most people would run away from that argument, but we have the truth and the statistics and the facts on our side, and everything the president does is backed by
tariffs on us.
Right. What's right for the American public.
The president, it seems like, almost on a daily basis, is giving more access in 6 weeks than Joe Biden has given in 4 years.
No doubt.
I mean, is there any level of appreciation from the media? Do they not now know that they were shut out?
They'll tell you off the record if you talk to them.
Off the record.
They may not admit it on television because it doesn't fit their brand.
Oh, I want to know what they tell you off the record. You don't have to mention names.
Yeah, they'll tell you off the record that they greatly appreciate the access that they have been given to the President of the United States. They are able to ask him questions every single day on an array of topics, whatever is on their mind. Even today, the president announced a major investment in America, $100 billion from a Taiwanese chip company. You just mentioned it. More jobs coming back home. And then he opened it up to questions. He took questions on the announcement today, but he also took questions on the news of the day, on Ukraine and on tariffs and other topics as well.
Just like, unlike Joe, who's, let me call on AP and
we don't tell President Trump who to take questions from.
No, I don't
And even if we tried, he wouldn't listen.
Caroline, our White House briefing, we appreciate you always coming in. Thank you.
Great to see you,
Great
Sean.
to see you in
Thanks for
person.
having me.
All right, when we come back.
Okay, so I've got the initial part of the interview with Pam Bondi. And just to let you know, there seems to be a lot of information that was given to her. This is what George wrote. Breaking: Attorney General Pam Bondi just announced that the SDNY has handed over thousands of pages of Epstein files, and Kash Patel is reviewing them as we speak. Let me play for you the video so you can hear yourself. Let me make sure the volume is okay, just because I just cut it.
You had the same expectation.
We all did. And the FBI handed over a couple hundred pages of documents. But, you know, Sean, I gave them a deadline of Friday at 8 a.m. to get us everything. And a source had told me where the documents were being kept. Southern District of New York, shock. So we got them all by, hopefully all of them, Friday at 8 a.m. Thousands of pages of documents. I have the FBI going through them, and Cash is also, now that we have Cash here, it's a game changer, of course, and Cash is going to, Director Patel, is going to get us a detailed report as to why the FBI withheld all of those documents.
Okay.
All right, so the breaking news is that she did receive it around 8 o'clock. He did comply, so I'm not sure why he got fired. And it's thousands of pages, and Kash Patel is going through them all. That is the news. That is the period. That's it. We now know she has the documents, or some section of the documents. Who knows if that's all of them. But she has, quote, and I quote, thousands of pages of documents from the FBI office up in New York City. So that's where we stand on Pam Bondi. Will we see those anytime soon? Doesn't really matter. At this point, she has, you don't have to do anything. But at this point, I would accept, okay, she's got them. She can't get away from that. I have thousands of pages, and now Kash Patel is going through it. So let's see, with his staff and how many people that they may need, who knows how long it will take to go through all of those documents. But she has confirmed that she basically received a boatload of information. Now things are going to get good. So you heard Caroline Leavitt talking to Sean Hannity, and she was giving a little bit of a preview of what to expect tomorrow night, which should be interesting. Talking about, basically reigniting the American dream is where Donald Trump wants to go with this. So that should be very interesting. And they're going to have a rebuttal afterwards. And the person they're bringing in for the rebuttal is some other nut. But anyway, let's continue with more about Ukraine.
Fight and to try and do things. And you know what happened? We get nothing. Just gave it. We could have rebuilt our entire U.S. Navy with $350 billion. Think of it, $350 billion. We could have rebuilt our U.S. Navy. So he gave it away as fast as the money could be gone. And what we're doing is getting that all back and a lot more than that. And what we need, it's very important for this business that we're talking about here with chips and semiconductors and everything else. We need rare earths. And the deal we have is we have the finest rare earths that you can.
Mr. President, what do you need to see from President Zelensky to restart these negotiations?
Well, I just think he should be more appreciative because this country has stuck with them through thick and thin. We've given them much more than Europe, and Europe should have given more than us because, as you know, that's right there. That's the border. This country really was like the fence on the border. It was very important to Europe, and I'm not knocking Europe. I'm saying that they were a lot smarter than Joe Biden because Joe Biden didn't have a clue. He just gave money hand over fist, and they should have been able to equalize with us. In other words, if we gave $1, they should have given. Well, we gave $350 billion. They probably gave $100, but on top of it all, they get their money back because they're doing it in the form of a loan, and it's a secured loan. So when I saw that, which I've known about for a little while, I said it's time for us to be smart. At the same time, it's great for them because they get us in the country taking the rare earth, which is going to fuel this big engine, and especially the engine that we've in a very short time created. And we get something, and we're there. We have a presence there. With all of that being said, I want one thing to happen. I want all of those young people to stop being killed. They're being killed by the thousands every single week. Last week, 2,700 were killed. 2,700 young, in this case, just about all young boys from Ukraine and from Russia. And that's not young people from the United States, but it's on a human basis. I want to see it stop. The money is one thing, but the death. And they're losing thousands of soldiers a week. And that's not including the people that get killed every time a town goes down or a missile goes into a town.
All right, so that was President Trump speaking today, earlier on my first show, and he was talking about a $100 billion investment into AI. And if you're not really deep into AI, this is where the race really heats up with these rare earth minerals and lithium and all these things that they're going to need to feed this beast called AI. It is a huge undertaking, an absolutely monstrous undertaking, and Donald Trump wants to see the United States be the leader in AI. Good AI. Not the bad AI, the good AI. So that's what he's talking about. All right, so now Howard Lutnick was on CNN.
You were there in the Oval Office watching all of it unfold. Didn't you see the Vice President, JD Vance, begin the angry exchange with his tough words about Zelensky? And that was in front of all the TV cameras.
I mean, what he said was, we knew Zelensky would put on a show for the press, right? Because he wants to look good at home, look strong and all the rest. But we figured it's got to end after 10 minutes. It didn't end after 20 or 30 or 45 minutes. And what did JD Vance say? Please say thank you, and let's not litigate this disagreement out here in front of these cameras. Let's go back and talk about it then, but at least say thank you to the president. If you think that is attacking President Zelensky, then you were in a different room than I was in, because I thought that was reasonable and appropriate for him to just say, thank you for $300 billion. Thank you for being on my side. I want peace. I'll be with you, President Trump. Let's go figure out how we can do it together with power. And let's use this mineral deals to show that the United States is behind Ukraine. And let's go force Russia into a reasonable peace deal. That's what JD Vance was trying to do. That's what President Trump was trying to do. That's what all of us expected. And we had no idea he was going to be not a peacemaker.
Zelensky is thinking.
If you look, so one of the things that the Democrats have a problem with, I've mentioned it here many times, they have a serious problem with men. I mean, an absolute enigma to me is how they hate manly men. Notice how Wolf Blitzer said that, JD, you attacked him. And Howard Lutnick's like, if you think that was an attack? Those were three guys arguing. There was no attack. Wake up. Slap him in the head. You don't understand. We're talking a serious, big thing in America. Across the world. This is the crux of a major war where all these people are getting killed. And you're talking about, he made his feelings hurt? And then, of course, the rest of the media on the left, they don't understand how President Trump wants him to say thank you. They don't understand the power play of it all. Why does Trump need to have someone say thank you? Why does he need him to come in? Because that's what it is. This stuff has to end. Someone has to win, someone has to lose. It just can't perpetuate. And the people who are in a position to win are, obviously Putin and Trump. And I want my respect from you. I want you to acknowledge that I meaning the United States, we are providing you with the opportunity to save people's lives in your country. You have to acknowledge that. Why would I give you my help if you're going to piss all over me? Democrats don't understand it. Just give it to them. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about your feelings. No. In the hierarchy of power, the lion wants the other animals in the forest to know, guess what? I'm the friggin' boss. You need to understand, I'm going to do you a favor, Godfather. I'm going to help you out here, but you have to understand, I'm doing you this favor. Well, now you know how big of a favor it is because I've disowned you. You're not getting any more money. You're not getting any more help. So you're either going to have to come to me or you're going to meet your fate with Putin. There's no other way for this to end. So if you are a leader of a country and you have no other opportunity, you think those guys in Europe are going to help you? No, that ain't going to work. You come back to the person, you come back to the country, the United States, and you show some respect. Democrats don't like that. They don't understand how you should command respect. You don't have to like me. You can hate my guts. You can call me every name in the book, but you're going to respect me, especially in my house. The Americans' house. And that's what they can't understand. Not at all. And especially guys like this. Listen to this crap.
In the world, our biggest economic enemy is China. Our biggest geopolitical enemy is Russia. In a matter of 3 years, without losing a single U.S. soldier, we have decimated their military and their economy.
You have decimated Russia's military. Boom. How about that? Did you just decimate that? Oh my God. They're a nuclear power. I don't care how old the nukes are, but they're a nuclear power, and you think you've decimated Russia's arsenal. You really want American people, you want the Ukrainians to think, don't worry, he's got nothing. Go ahead. Go ahead and attack Russia. You're going to get people killed. You are absolutely going to get people killed if you're telling them that we've decimated the Russian military. If think about this. If the Russian military was decimated, what in the hell are we even talking about then? Zelensky can just take his soldiers in and just march right in. They're decimated. There's nothing left to Russia. Then what are we talking about? That's how stupid the people are on these liberal media stations, is because I would ask them that straight up. Hey, Representative Swalwell, yeah, you really think that the Russian army's been decimated? Yes, absolutely. So what are we talking about a peace deal for? Just go ahead and kick their ass and you it's all yours. Go ahead. Because he's full of crap.
It's been the greatest return on investment for any military expenditure ever. And as far as the return on investment for soldiers' lives, it's infinity, because you can't divide zero.
Donald Trump.
We got the best return on investment, and his word was, ever. No, we've gotten nothing. That's the other. I mean, these people lie with impunity, and people don't call them out. I don't understand how you call yourself a journalist when somebody says something like that to you. We got the best return on investment ever. Number one, it wasn't your investment. It wasn't your money. Number two, what do we get? We don't even have a loan. You just dumped $350 billion into that country. Tell me what the return is on that. What did we get as America? Since it's the best return ever. I hope this dude doesn't invest at all. Because that didn't make any sense. We know 350 billion, 250 billions a billion. We didn't get anything.
Playing hardball like other presidents have before him.
Art of the deal. We've talked about it before. That's something I hear about a lot in the White House. But I think what's so striking about this moment, and it's something that President Trump leaned into, is just how much it played out in front of the press. And President Trump, you noticed it there. He didn't try to stop it. He didn't say, let's take this, somewhere private. He let it play out there, and that is a big.
That was the first person I've heard say that. He could have stopped it. I don't know, when we were watching it all together and we saw them getting they're dancing and he's telling them shut up. He could have said at any point there, hey, listen, cut the cameras. We got to go talk. We're going to go over here and talk. There's a reason why he chose to do that in public. The man's not stupid. None of the people in that room were stupid, except for Zelensky. JD Vance was sitting right there. Marco Rubio. They're all sitting right there. Somebody could have said, hey, let's take this behind closed doors. They chose not to. President Trump, leading the meeting, he chose not to shut it down. What does that tell you? Why would Trump want that to play out in complete public in front of the press? Why would he want that to happen? Well, I'll give you my opinion. I've given to you before. One, because the last time he did something in private with Ukraine, they tried to impeach him. Number two, he sent a message. And that message was very clearly, To everyone who wanted to listen, even to the people who pretended like they didn't like it, he sent a very clear message. And that message was, don't F around with me. Don't F around with the United States. You just came off of a 4-year spell with some guy who wears Depends twice a day because he keeps soiling himself. And now all of a sudden, the world needed to know, and that was a perfect opportunity. Shut up. Stop talking. Don't tell me. You don't have any cards. I'm like, you go, bro. You put him in his place. And so everybody else, depending on how I don't care what they say on television. I'm telling you in private, a lot of people are like, oh, is that, ooh, yeah, ouch. I feel for you, Zelensky. Man, he just smacked you down just like that, and he just kept going. Now get out. Very public scene. He could have done it in private. He could have said, hey, let's just talk it out. Let's see what no. Get out of my house. Don't stop there and pick up a sandwich. Keep going. And the whole world knows he got spanked and thrown out of the White House.
Part of how he does business, he is okay, and in fact sometimes leans into the idea that this is all happening in public in front of the cameras, and for him and Vance, they were able to show their kind of tough guy negotiating tactics. Look, I'll leave it to the viewers to decide if that was the right approach or not, but it certainly seemed it.
No, don't leave it up to the viewers. That's not who that message was for. See, you're on the right track there, honey. But you're messing up here. It's not about the viewers. He just got elected. He just got inaugurated. It wasn't for us. It wasn't for us. He just got into office. He's been there 38 days or whatever it is. No, it wasn't for us. It's for a different audience. He knew the world was watching. He knew every country, their leadership would be watching that meeting. That was the audience. Not Democrats and Republicans. It was all these other countries. Like, oh, would he do that to us? Yes. That's what they came away thinking after seeing that, going, oh, man. So we need to be careful when we're in front of him. Yes. The guy's a hothead. Yes. And that other one sitting next to him is even worse. Yes. That's the message that got conveyed. Don't F.A. and you won't find F.O. We weren't the audience. We just happened to be getting a front row seat, but it wasn't for our benefit. Remember again, election was on November 5th. He got inaugurated on January 20th. Ain't nothing happening right now with any of these polls and everything else. He ain't worried about re-election 38 days in. That was a message to the world. And it obviously, people heard it.
Happened organically in the moment, but it was deliberate in letting it be such a public display, and I think it's one of the more striking displays that we've seen in the Oval Office in front of.
What they keep. I have to give her. I don't know who she is. I know she. I know she used to be with NBC. I'm not sure who she's with now. Maybe Politico. She's the only reporter on either side who said what she just said. Hey man, that was a public display intentionally. He wanted people to see that. Nobody else has dug into that. She nailed it. And I can tell you by the way she said it, because it impacted her. It impacted her as a woman. Like, oh yeah, that guy's got he's got some cojones, doesn't he? Yeah. Unlike this dude.
They keep saying he was so manly. He was such a boss, as his crypto advisor said of him. And I think, you know what? I don't have time for your psychosexual anxieties. You may feel inadequate in your masculinity and are looking for some puffed up person on television to bully a valiant leader fighting for a valiant people. But I think every true American watched that scene and felt shame.
Well, I think that's the kind of guy that was around our colleges and our teams who used to pick up our jock straps after practice. That's the kind of guy you'd stuff in the locker in high school. Those type of guys, we would set them up as tackling dummies and put duct tape around them and tackle them at practice, just because it was fun to do, just to watch them. That's that guy. So you want to go ahead and tell somebody else? you want to call David Sachs a something sexual? What? You read too many books, bro. Meanwhile, go pick up my jock and put it in the laundry, all right? Before I come after you. Oh, God, these people.
This way we can kind of just ask this is, do Americans like the way that Trump's handling his job and compare it to how they felt about Joe Biden? So this is the net approval rating. You look at Joe Biden back in 2024, he was 22 points underwater. Holy cow. You look at Donald Trump, it's just a different planet entirely. I mean, the gulf between these two is wider than the Gulf of America or Mexico, depending on which side of the aisle you stand on. He's at +2. So look, at this particular point, America...
Sometimes I think this guy forgets he works at CNN, and they're like, cut the poll, dude. And like every other day, he's got another poll going, hey, whatever you guys are talking about on the news, it ain't true. Trump's doing fantastic. Why are you on here? Why are we bringing this guy on? Because he just keeps killing our narrative.
Are giving Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt. He's doing considerably better than Joe Biden was doing on the handling of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. And so on this simple question, I think Americans are saying, okay, Donald Trump's doing all right on this.
What about specifically on how they feel about bringing the war to an end?
Yeah, okay. So, look, questions on this can be quite complicated, but I think this kind of gets at sort of where the American trend line is. Americans on the Russia-Ukraine war want a quicker end of the war, but Russia keeps its captured land. Look at this, 50%, bare majority coming in here, support Ukraine's right to fight, even if it means a longer war. That's at 48. This is very, very close. But the trend line on this question is so important because that want a quick end of the war, look at this. You go back to August of 2022, it was at 31%. Now we're at 50%. I mean, that is a rocket ship upwards in terms of the Americans who want a quick end to the war, even if it means Russia keeps the captured Ukraine land. Americans are moving closer and closer to wanting a compromise, even if it means that Ukraine doesn't really get what it set out to want, at least at the beginning of this war.
And Americans' views on Russia are shifting as well.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the reasons why we're seeing this is Americans who say Russia is an enemy. You go back to 2023, it was 64%. In that CBS News YouGov poll, it was down to 34%.
You have to ask yourself, as somebody watching this video, and it should be going through your mind, you should be thinking to yourself, what the hell is wrong with the Democrats? How can you be seeing data from a Democrat news station that's telling you Americans don't give a crap anymore? Stop it. Every single day this guy comes out with another poll, and it all keeps telling the same story over and over. So you have to wonder, what in the hell are Democrats doing other than running around completely aimless, chickens with their heads cut off? Because anybody who would be making any sound political decisions would be looking at these numbers and going, this is getting really bad. It's going the wrong direction. If only 34% of people believe that Russia is an enemy, you've completely lost the narrative. And that's giving Trump ammunition to go sit with Vladimir Putin. I don't know if 34 is correct, but let's say it's 34. Let's just take his number. That 66% of Americans say he's not an enemy. So if 66%, which you could not get there unless you had Democrats who agreed, if 66% of Americans look at Putin and say, no, he's not an enemy, how the hell can you go on television every single day and try to convince people that Putin's a bad guy? If 66% of the country is looking at, no, he's not an enemy. You know why they don't think he's an enemy? Because he hasn't done anything to us. That chart right there should tell every single one of you where Trump is probably thinking at this point. Because I have an idea. Okay, here, you want to hear my idea? How about Midas? You want to hear my idea? My idea is he's going to cut a deal with both of them. If 66% of the country using CNN's numbers are like, no, he's not an enemy, then why wouldn't I cut a deal with Putin? I mean, You don't think he's a bad dude anyway, so since you don't think he's a bad guy, why wouldn't I do business with him? And this little guy over here, who's got some stuff as well, he needs me. Why don't I do a business with him, do a deal with him as well? There is nothing preventing President Trump from doing a deal with both. And nobody's talking about that. We're talking about mineral rights in two different countries. I'm going to dabble here and dig up some stuff in Russia, and I'm going to dig up some stuff here in Ukraine. Win-win, as they say, even though some people hate the words win-win. Tell me that wouldn't be the art of the deal. Stepping in and doing stuff on both countries. I would be all over that if I were him. And you don't have to spend any money, and you don't have to have any security, and you don't have... How you doing, Vlad? Yeah, we're gonna do. Give me some of that stuff. And how you doing, Zelensky? Yeah, and don't mess with him because I'm doing business. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. This is a perfect analogy right here. You hate him, but you both like me. Well, Zelensky doesn't like him, but he's gonna be stuck with him. Can you even fathom what will happen? I don't even want to say if. When Trump does a deal with Putin. What the Democrat Party is going to do. But going to be hard because the American public is like, we don't think he's an enemy. We used to 2 years ago. 2 years ago, 64% of us thought he was an enemy. But how in the hell did that change? The Democrats have been pushing it over and over and over about, oh my God, Vladimir Putin, the butcher. And you lost 30%? How is that even possible? How did the Democrats lose 30% of the negative view perspective on Putin? I don't know. I don't know, but they did.
Believes that Russia's an unfriendly nation, but the percentage who believe that they're either an ally or friendly, that's up to 34% as well, basically equal to the percentage who say that they're an enemy. So views on Russia have become, let's say, a little less isolated in terms of wanting Russia to be way out there on their own, thinking that they're an enemy. At this particular point, they're starting to see Russia a little bit more friendly, and I think that's part of the reason why Americans want to see a compromise at this particular hour.
There will be. That's huge. And probably nobody has shown that to you, that the American public at this point is warming up to Putin. It's the Democrats' worst nightmare. I can't believe they publicized that on CNN. All of the hardline globalist leftists don't want you to know that whatsoever. All they can do is keep calling Trump a Nazi, a fascist, and Putin puppet, and it's falling on deaf ears. Have you heard that? Has anyone explained that to you and said, wow, people feel like me? I keep wondering, why is Putin supposed to be the boogeyman? I haven't seen him do anything. I didn't see him do anything with Biden. I didn't see him do anything with Trump twice. Why is he the boogeyman? Yes, he's a nuclear power, and at that point I have to respect him. Just like Zelensky needs to respect Trump, we need to respect each other. I don't like Xi Jinping, but you know what? You gotta respect him. Don't mess with him. Shake his hand. Do business with him. If we can do business with China, why couldn't we do business with Russia? Anybody want to? I don't know.
Deal. You watch. Trump is going to do this deal because he does want peace. That I can tell you from talking to him this week. He wants peace.
Does Putin want peace?
Well, this is why you've got to give Trump some leeway in how he deals with Putin. We may not like it, but he's got to get Putin in that room, and he's got to get Zelensky in that room, and they've got to do a deal.
And from your conversation on the phone with President Trump this week, maybe one day he'll speak to the BBC instead of phoning you up all the time.
I'll put a good word in
that would be
Laura.
great.
Yeah.
You believe that he is sincere, not just in ending 100%. The war, but having a lasting deal so that Putin can't reload and then come back.
Can I just make one comment?
Everyone who signs up to work for Donald Trump is signing up for one single project, and that is the transition of American democracy to a kind of kleptocratic oligarchy in which the billionaires rule, in which they get to steal from regular Americans. And if that's the domestic...
I know some of you guys are like, why do you show these idiots? Because they're idiots. I mean, that's actually the answer. And you realize Chris Murphy here from my home state of Connecticut is an absolute nut. Oligarchy, billionaires, and they're stealing your money. After everything you've seen in Doge over the last, 3 or 4 weeks, he's telling you Trump is stealing your money. Elon Musk is stealing your money. Don't look over there. You're not supposed to see this stuff that Doge has uncovered. You're not supposed to look at what the Data Republican has uncovered. Trust me, they're stealing your money. Nothing they say makes any sense. And as you're seeing these charts, you're starting to see for yourself. They're losing their grip even on people in their own party. There's no way you can get to the numbers you get to without them losing people in their own party, which is something they need to think about if they're going to try and shut the government down. The reason why they're going to shut the government down is they want to go nuclear. They got nothing to lose. They have nothing. They're hoping that people blame Trump and JD Vance, but that's all they have is a hope that they can turn around public perspective. That's it. So they're willing to go out there and lie, look at the camera, and say we got green skies outside with a smile.
Project, then the way that you normalize that kind of government is to associate yourself with similar governments abroad, like the Kremlin. So it's all part of one big domestic project, the foreign policy, the effect.
Now, see, if I was on the set with him, I'm like, you want Ukraine to work out, but you think that Trump is associating with a kleptocracy like Russia, Can they vote in Ukraine? As a very simple question that the person on this show could have asked him. Since you're all about defending democracy, I have one question for you. Can they vote in Ukraine? Nope. No votes. So, Senator Murphy, that seems to be a problem, don't you think? Since you're calling other people fascist and kleptocracies, do you think it's okay that he eliminated voting? What would you call a person who tells his population, we're not going to have votes this year? I'm pretty sure you would call that person an autocrat or a fascist or fill in the blank. But they never mention that. And the hosts on these shows, I don't get them. I don't know if they're sitting on butt plugs or what, but they just sit there. And I'm like, wait, stop him. Do you know, Chris Murphy, you're a senator, you understand that Zelensky doesn't let his people vote? Oh, you didn't know that? Oh. You know that he's conscripting people, taking them off the street and throwing them on the front line. Is that okay? Not a word. Not a word.
For dictatorships abroad is, in effect, a means towards transitioning our democracy to something very, very different, something we've never, ever seen before in this country.
But you have locked horns with President Trump. Friday was a disaster, optically, in the White House. But you must have sat there watching, thinking, I've had worse blow-ups for President Trump, and the next minute he's on the phone telling me I'm welcome to play golf.
Hi, chap. Well, it's a bloody the debacle that happens in the White House. I couldn't. It's undoubtedly it's really bad. For who? For who? Who was it a debacle that you saw? Why do you consider it a debacle? It's not like, Prince Andrew was there with some, diddling kids or anything. What was the debacle that you saw? Well, I'm going to tell you what it was. See, you in your country aren't used to seeing strong men. You were led by a queen for 100 years or so. The men in your country are ceremonial and they get dressed up in military gear and they've never fought anything. And they just walk in parades. So you don't understand what it means to be led by a man with testosterone who wants to instill a certain image. How do I know this? I can see who you've had leading your country. Nobody's worried about Starmer. I've seen the pictures of him walking with the, the rainbow flags and the trannies. Transformers. Ain't nobody scared of that. So, undoubtedly, you don't know what you're talking about.
Well, he was actually on the phone that morning.
Yeah. So did you wind him up so much on Friday morning?
I was trying to think what I said. I mean, it was quite funny. I was in a black cab in London. And my phone going, I could see I have him under DJT in my phone. DJT? And it was flashing up. I thought, should I take it in a cab? It was like, I thought, we can't not take a call from the president. So Mr. President, I'm just seeing the cab driver's eyes like that. And we spoke for about 15 minutes.
Do you have him on speaker in the cab?
No.
Okay.
But obviously I was talking in a way that was giving a few clues. And the cab driver said, please, I don't want to pry, mate. He said, but was that Donald Trump? I said, actually it was. And he said, God, he said, I've been driving cabs a long time. I said, I've never had anyone talking to the President of the United States in back of my cab before. So it's quite funny. But anyway, Trump was in a very good, upbeat mood. I had a long chat with him about a number of things. I've talked about Ukraine with him a number of times. And the one thing I think is always important with Donald Trump, and you put your finger on it, I've had screaming matches with him, literally. And then an hour later, we're laughing and joking, doing a fun interview. Literally, I had that two and a half years ago. So I always think with him, focus on what he does, not what he says, or the general drama and chaos. And secondly, understand that this is almost uniquely in modern times a Republican president in America who wants peace, not war. I mean, he hasn't, in his first term, declared war anywhere. He wants to end the two wars that are raging right now in Ukraine and Israel. And I think, although it was all very unedifying, although it shouldn't have happened, if you actually watch the whole press conference with Zelensky, and I interviewed Zelensky 2 weeks ago, I had a long chat with him, so I got where his mindset was on this. If you watch the whole thing, you're actually getting to the nub of where this peace deal is likely to end up. And that's, to me, a bit of squabbling in front of the cameras shouldn't have happened. But let's not overreact. Focus on the big picture, which is how do we get to peace.
You were straight out on Twitter in the minutes after that interview, when everybody else was saying it's a disaster. You came out and said, no, there's going to be a deal. Was that because...
You can see there's going to be a deal. Because the other person, the little guy over there, the little guy that Trump's kind of looking away from, has no choice. Anybody can see there's going to be a deal. You need me so much. You don't have anybody else. And Trump told them that, which offended some people. You don't got anything. You have no cards. You don't know who you're talking to right now. So when I throw you out of here, you're not coming back unless I invite you, because you just can't show up. And I'm not inviting you until you say you're sorry. I felt like this was, you guys remember the movie A Few Good Men? And Jack Nicholson's character was amazing. And Tom Cruise and Demi Moore show up to have breakfast with him. And they're like, I need the Sampson files, whatever it was. And he goes, ask me nicely. And I don't know if they ad-libbed that or what, but it was just perfect when Jack Nicholson said, ask me nicely. And that was a guy throwing his alphaness out there so you could see it. I eat breakfast. What was it? I eat breakfast 300 clicks away from people who want to shoot my head off. I think I deserve your respect. And that's exactly what he was doing. You're not coming back until you ask me nicely. If you want to come back here, you are going to publicly apologize to me. Why? Because now I've got you in a position where I'm going to demean you. I'm going to let everyone in the world know, kiss it. Kiss it. You need to know your place at this point. I mean, it's harsh. It's a harsh punishment, but it's either that or, talk to Vlad.
You just knew that's what Trump is about? Or was it something he'd said to you in that phone call on the Friday which made you think, don't overinterpret this bust-up?
I think a bit of all of that. I mean, I think that I had a chat with him just before the inauguration. We had a long chat on the phone, and he talked about Ukraine specifically in that. The Pentagon had said to him that in the previous 6 weeks, 100,000 people had been killed on the battlefield, Ukraine and Russia side. And he said, can you believe the numbers? This is like First World War. You know, this is like the worst imaginable kind of killing going on. He said, we have to end this. So I genuinely do think he wants peace.
We are all very committed about.
All right, so this is Giorgia Meloni, the Prime Minister of Italy. She seems at this point to be one of the few people over there that's got their head screwed on correctly. And you can tell she's done some back channel conversations with Donald Trump. In fact, she spoke, what was it, Turning Point? I think it was Turning Point, the last, CPAC. She came on at CPAC before Trump came out there. And she wants the West, i.e. the United States, to be a powerhouse and take care of her. Take care of Italy, rather. Because Italy, they're another one. They ain't no army.
A goal that we all want to achieve, which is a just and lasting peace in Ukraine. And I think it is very, very important that we avoid the risk that the West divides. And I think on this, UK and Italy can play an important role in bridge building, let's say.
Yeah.
So you know that I've been also proposing a meeting between US and European leaders for if we divide ourselves, that will make us all weaker.
Yeah.
And then on bilateral topics, I'm very happy about the work we've been doing together and how every month we enhance our bilateral cooperation. There are many strategic topics on which we've been working very well together, and I'm sure we will do even better about energy, about defense, about security, the GCAP, tackling illegal mass migration and traffickers. I know that we both think out of the box and understand that we need new tools, new ideas to solve a problem that affects the security of our citizens. So really thank you for our friendship, for the cooperation between our two nations, and for this occasion that comes after your visit.
How could I sum it up?
So she understands, and she's about to go through something really bad over there. Not necessarily security-wise, but something that, her country is going to go through. The Pope's about to die. Maybe he'll pull out of it, but the Pope may die. And at that point, all of Italy is going to be in mourning. The last thing she wants at this point is to be involved in a war over Zelensky while her people are out in, St. Peter's Square mourning the Pope. 100,000 people in one location, and you guys want to go poke Putin? No. We need to make sure this goes okay. I don't have anything. I don't have a beef with Putin. You're bringing me into this NATO crap and telling me I might have to defend Zelensky, and I got some stuff I got to deal with here. So Victor David Hansen is about to talk, and what he's going to say, I love the guy. I love him. I love his thought patterns. I like how he parses his words and tells you, exactly what he thinks, and he summarizes it in very quick terms.
Best, I think this is the key to it, that the people that Zelensky does not feel comfortable with or doesn't like, the MAGA movement, the conservative Republicans, they have the power over his fate. And the people that he dalliances with and he feels comfortable and he's a rock star with, the Europeans and the American left, don't have any power.
So what he's saying is you bet on the wrong horse. You screwed up. You had a good deal going with Biden. He was funneling all kinds of money to you, and you bet on the wrong horse. Instead of doing something, Trump won. Trump won, and he's supported by MAGA, and nobody wants to see or hear your crap anymore. And it ended like that. January 20th, you just found out today, it's over. Done. 38 days, 30, whatever, 5 days into his presidency, and he turned off the spigot on you, which you never would have had with Biden. You got greedy. You got to the point where you thought you were all in. The globalists love you. Biden loved you. Kamala loved you. They're willing to throw all our money at you Chuck Schumer. They're putting your flag up in our congressional building. And then Donald Trump won. And now you got nothing.
Europeans talk a great game, but they have not come through with the economic and financial and military assistance as was promised. And the American left that has made him a rock star, they're not in power now. So he has to understand that he has to get along with the president. That means you come in with a suit, you're very polite, you do not interrupt, and you cut a deal that's mutually beneficial on the mineral concession. That creates a de facto commercial tripwire, roughly along a DMZ, and now you have the basis for a lasting peace. My final wish, I wish that today as I'm speaking or in the ensuing week, the two sides can come back together because we're very, very close to a peace, and it's in Donald Trump's interest to get the credit that he deserves for it and to stop this Stalingrad of the 21st century.
What's really interesting about this whole thing is Zelensky at this point must realize, I screwed up. Biden's no longer here. And you didn't see what could possibly happen. You weren't playing the cards. You weren't looking at the table. You thought you had it. And you misread your hand, which Trump told him. Maybe you didn't understand, and it's possible he didn't understand the American government. Remember, he had 4 years with the left and the globalists and Biden and Kamala giving him whatever he wanted. And if he didn't know that things were going to change and how America, you see, if he didn't know that and he didn't have any historical preference, he wouldn't have known that the gauntlet was going, I mean, not the gauntlet, the guillotine was going to drop. Wait a minute. What do you mean? Your government changes? What do you mean government? Think about all the people he's around. World leaders that are, basically like him, stick around for like forever. And he may not, he doesn't have a long history of understanding governments around the world. The guy was an actor like Trump was an actor. And who knows if he didn't know what the American government was like. He acted like he got caught by surprise. And January 20th, it just ended. I'm sure he woke up this morning and went, what? He just turned everything, he turned it all off. How did he do that? Well, that's, the United States government's really weird. They have this thing called votes, and they vote every 4 years, and a new guy takes charge, and the old guy gets, sent packing. So whatever deal you had with him no longer exists. Imagine waking up to that if you didn't know what could possibly happen. I would almost put money on the fact that he didn't understand that everything he had put in place, the Congress, the Senate, Lindsey Graham, all those people would just go, sorry, can't help you now. Can't help you. It just changed like that on him. Now imagine him. You've gotten hundreds of billions of dollars. You come over and people are throwing your flag up in the government. You're like, man, this is pretty cool. I come over here and they think I'm just like the crap, huh? I'm the big man. And you're going to give me money. What's up? How you doing? Yeah, what's up? And then all of a sudden you find out, no more. And then the guy says, get out. What? Get out. If you didn't know what the American government was like, if you hadn't taken any history classes, if no one had told him, hey man, you're going to have a big problem. If he wins, you have a big problem. He just thought the merry-go-round would just keep going. Didn't realize it was going to stop like that. And now he's caught, with his pants down.
He, for some reason, wants this war to keep going. And he has been, brainwashed by the globalist, socialist group in Europe and even some over here that, hey, just keep this thing going. We'll keep funneling money to you. But they couldn't be more wrong. President Trump is tired of people dying, our American taxpayer dollars going over there. And so he'll try to get this this finished. But Zelensky's going to play hardball. But you know what? He's not even in the game. It's going to be Putin and President Trump and the people on our side that will end up making this decision for the future of Ukraine.
So, in case you don't know, that was Senator Tommy Tuberville. Senator Tuberville used to be a football coach, a very good football coach, with, I believe it was Auburn. Played Georgia, Alabama, SEC school. And so he knows you're not even in the game. I no longer have to negotiate with you. See, one of the things that the Democrats are having a problem, and I hope you don't, is to think that there's still negotiations going on. I don't have to. I'm going to tell you what the deal is. We're not negotiating. This is the deal. Sign it. And if you don't want to sign it, don't come. There's nothing to negotiate. And that's when you put yourself in a position, and like Trump said, you have no cards. What do you do at that point when somebody tells you, this is it? And if you leave, I don't care. I'll go talk to Vlad. And then he'll bomb the hell out of your country. And then your own people are probably going to come after you. So what do you do?
Well, look, we're not going to get into, speculating on these issues in public. What we need to hear from President Zelensky is that he has regret for what happened. He's ready to sign this minerals deal, and that he's ready to engage in peace talks. I don't think that's too much to ask. I think that's what's best for the American people, for the Ukrainian people, for Russia, and for the world to restore stability. President Trump is ready to end this war, and there will be a process to do that we've laid out. And it was no accident we had key European leaders here saying they are ready to step up and provide those security guarantees. And the president even said with some type of American support to be negotiated. So we're ready to enter in those negotiations. Is President Zelensky, and we'll test both sides in terms of their willingness to compromise to get this deal done.
Right. So before Glenn outlines what he was saying, is there were two parts of this. Give me this, which I'm not negotiating on, and then we'll figure out how to help you rebuild your country and what's going to happen to you. Because we don't know if we're going to keep you as a leader. Those stuff we can talk about. This one we're not talking about. Sign the deal, give me my money. Because if you don't give me my money, the rare earth minerals, we're not talking about the other stuff. So the negotiation isn't even going to happen until I get my money. You owe me money. That's hard. That's a red line. I need to get back pay. It's like $500 billion. I need it. Then we can talk. But until you agree to this, there's nothing to talk about. Nothing at all to talk about. And that's a very hard position to be in.
I want to show you a chalkboard or a whiteboard here on the 3D or 4D chess that President Trump is playing. Nobody gets it. This guy is a genius, and the EU just shot themselves in the foot. It'll work to America's advantage, I think, but you could have been a winner too as well. Let me show you. What are Trump's goals? Because he is marking everything off. He promised, I did that. Some of his goals: end the never-ending wars, put America first, reduce spending, reduce waste and corruption, tech and AI, and box China. Make sure we're still a superpower. Okay. Let me just show you what he was doing and what he is doing with Putin and everybody else. He's offering a deal where Russia, because be honest, Russia lost. Okay, everybody knows that. Nobody's saying that, but it's true. Russia was supposed to be able to go in there for 2 weeks and take all of the Ukraine. Ukraine is not a NATO ally. Ukraine stopped them. Now, we helped, but it wasn't NATO, so you don't need that. Because really, if you can't beat Ukraine, you think you're going to beat Poland and all of NATO? That's ridiculous. Russia lost, but Trump is offering him a way to let him claim victory. he can claim victory. The war is over. Plus, money doesn't talk, it screams. We are after rare minerals. Rare minerals is going to do this for us. Tech AI, we cannot exist without rare minerals.
We can't exist without AI. So I know many of you have an issue with AI, and I'm just telling you, you're going to have to get over that hump. You're not going to have any choice. I mean, and to some people, it's a hard thing to accept. AI is going to permeate all parts of your life. It's not a if, it's when. Because now everybody is hell-bent on making sure that they are the leader in AI. Pray about it, do whatever you need to do it, but understand that's where we are. It's a bigger arms race with AI than it was militarily. And everybody knows it. And they're all trying to harness it. I realize for many people that's extremely scary. But I'm not saying just swallow it without education. You're going to have to start reading and digging deep.
70 to 90% of them come from China now. They got a lock on rare minerals. You're not going to be the world leader if we don't have them. That's why Trump said maybe Greenland should be the 51st state. No, they weren't interested. But if this falls apart, Greenland, look out, you could be the 51st state. He wants to box China. He wants to put America first, end the war, reduce spending. Okay. What he's doing is he's offering to buy the rare minerals in the now Russian part of Ukraine. Putin's going to like that. It ends the war, and he can say he won because he's taking money now. It also, on our side, weakens the relationship between Russia and China. That relationship, China's not going to be for all of that. And we've made an enemy a frenemy. Putin, you can't trust him. But better to have a relationship like this than to be saying that we might going to go into nuclear war.
Exactly. A frenemy. Good word. You're taking a guy that everyone has tried to make the monster in the closet, and then all of a sudden he's going to be your partner. You don't trust him. You verify. You make sure that person's on the up and up, but he then becomes our partner. On that board that Glenn has, one of the things he doesn't have on that board, which would be another box for him to check off, that other box would say, destroy the Democrat Party. Because if he can do the other things on that chart, the Democrat Party is irrelevant. I mean, hold on. He's got, end the war, put America first, tech and AI, box in China, reduce spending, reduce waste. If those boxes get checked, there is no more Democrat Party. It's done. For a long, 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 long time. There's no way for them to even come back if he can get all this done. And just think about this. In 30-something days of being in office, he is at the point of getting all those Infinity Stones. You remember, what's the name? What was the guy's name in the movie, the Marvel movie? And he needed this stone and this stone and this stone he could become the world power. Well, that's his Infinity Glove right there. Because if he gets all those in place, the Democrats can never win. Never. They can't come back from it, which is why, this negotiation about the closing down the government is so important. You can actually go ahead and copy this down right now. You can say reduce spending, reduce waste and corruption, tech AI, block in China, put America first, and end never-ending wars. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boxes there. Well, we'll say 5 with the Infinity Stones. He gets those Infinity Stones, they're done. I hope you guys understand that. He's trying to eliminate the Democrats within his first couple months. The thing with it is they know it. That's why there's don't take the deal, because that's just another Infinity Stone he's putting in his box there. and he's on to the next one. So it's easy to see, when you look at it this way, it's easy to see what Trump's plan is. When I saw Glenn put this up, and I was like, the only box you don't have there, Glenn, is you don't have end the Democrat Party. Because if all those things happen, they can't do wars. One of those is end forever wars. No wars, no grift, no money. Win AI, lead the world there. Box in China, no adversary. Reduce waste and corruption, end the Democrat Party. Reduce spending, end the Democrat Party. So I think as you're seeing this, and when I I'll start playing it some more, you can tell where Trump is going. They've sat back, they created a plan. They're like, here's what we're gonna do. Here, boom to boom to boom to boom to boom. And if we do this, we'll do anything we want, and these people will never, not for any time soon, challenge us on anything. Imagine it being November of 2026. And by the time November of 2026 happens, all those infinity stones are in place. The war's over. Russia's a frenemy, as Glenn called it. There's no more waste and corruption. We've reduced spending. We've stopped wars. And we're putting America first. How do they possibly win in 2026? So he's going for the throat right now. And I think you're going to hear that tomorrow. I think that tone is make America great again, make the American dream happen again. And he knows he's this close. And as you guys are watching this part, you can see and go, yeah, if he can get all these things, they're done. And we're only, again, a little over a month in office. And he's compiling this. And those stones are aligning. What do you think will be in 3 months? If you knock off the war now, in your first month and 5...
Let Zelensky claim victory because Russia lost. So he claims victory. He gets a secure Ukraine. Why? Not because we put boots on the ground or he's become a NATO member, but because we want to buy his rare earth minerals as well. So that will help.
Wait, Glenn. Did you say as well? Did you say by his and his? Yeah. Somebody else just said that. And no, I wasn't peeking too much. I didn't know he was going to say that. I swear. I absolutely swear. Because that, to me, is infinity stones. I'm going to buy yours, and I'm going to own yours. I'm sitting in the catbird seat. And you're going to be happy about it. You're happy because I'm saving your butt, and you're happy because you ain't got to fight a war. So it's going to cost you each, $500 billion. That's a cool $1 trillion. Let me go ahead and knock that off the deficit.
And with money, rebuilding, we'll send people in, companies will come in, they'll build the mines, they'll build everything. So Ukraine will make money.
Hold on. What did he just describe there? So if there are going to be businesses that have to go in and rebuild Ukraine, if there's businesses that have to go in and rebuild part of Russia, and if they're going to build, MAGA Vegas in Gaza, remember what this morning show was all about? This morning show was about wealth and prosperity. Put on your binoculars and start thinking at this point, going, it's starting to come in focus. I'm starting to see what's about to happen. What was that movie? Oh, Tropic Thunder, when Les Grossman, Tom Cruise in the fat suit, and he's talking to Matthew McConaughey, and he's like, "Lots of money, player. You, your friends, your family, you're about to see wealth and prosperity that you didn't think was possible because we're going to help rebuild all this place. The MAGA Gaza, the Ukraine, Russia, playa. So serious, buddy. Swing down to the knees.
We'll make money. We get rare earth minerals at a much cheaper level, and China is no longer involved at all. And it's, again, reduced our dependency on China. Also, it stops our money pipeline, which, gee, reduce waste and corruption. Okay, the EU, you blew this, guys. It would have allowed you to let the EU claim victory. NATO did it. We won. We held him back. It would have stopped the war, restored their economy, secure their economy, and Europe, you'd be relevant again, okay? Nobody's afraid of you. Boots on the ground.
Oh, we all laugh. Boots on the ground. No. Nobody's afraid of it. Europe, you're 6 or 7 countries that you go ahead and make good food. That's all we care. Make some pizza and knockwurst and have Oktoberfest. I mean, because nobody cares. Nobody's worried about you. Meanwhile, Trump's over here stuffing his glove with these infinity stones. That's what a lot of people are missing. Other than Glenn, I think we're probably the only 2 people who told you about, hey, why don't we do a deal with both these people? And it wasn't something Glenn said, or wasn't something me having ingenious. Putin said it. I told you that yesterday. Putin said, hey, what I got minerals. Want to do something with me? You see, when you recognize power, when you recognize cachet, and these nuts, because they're recognizing these nuts. Like, hey man, this guy, I see what, okay, I don't want to mess with him, but I could work with him. I could make money with him. So in that regards, it might make sense. But you've heard the theme over and over again, and let's close with what Zelensky must do.
Are the French just going to actually leave boots on the ground because nobody's going to? Idiots. So EU could have won as well. And here's what we get out of it. Tell me this is a problem for anybody. We are again a world leader by brain, not our military. No muscle in this. We're not coercing anyone. Everyone can win from this. You box China, you get the rare earth minerals. We're forward thinking for once. Less money to NATO. Europe is stronger. No war. America wins with no losers. Let's see. Reduce spending. Put America first. End the never-ending wars. Gee. Yeah, Donald Trump's an idiot. This guy's a freaking genius. And this is the first time I've seen a president actually stand up for America first without hurting everyone else. We all win.
I have been told.
And the thing with that is, if you're that strong of a country, then at home it becomes easier to fix as well. Because now there's going to be so many jobs. Y'all ain't going to have to be on food stamps and everything else. Get your butts out there and get to work. Oh, you got fired from the Environmental Protection Agency of a job you never worked on? Guess what? Well, I understand you worked remote. You want to do something with AI? We'll pay you a lot of money, but you're going to have to do some stuff. There is going to be so much wealth and prosperity. I'm counting on it. Well, what do you mean you're counting on it? Because that's what I'm going to be jumping on. I'm already talking to people, hey, what about this? What are we going to do with this? Can we do this? Can we buy that? Can we do that? Hey, can you invest in here? Do you got enough money to cover this? Oh yeah, start putting your network together. Put the band together. One of my first investors told me, and he said this, and I didn't understand when he said it, and I'm going to say it to you right now. Because many people say, where would I get the money for this? To do this, or this? Where would I get the money? And he told me, if the numbers make sense, the money's always there. You see, a lot of people try to fit the square peg into the round hole, and it doesn't work. And it fails or something, they can't raise any money. If you show people that your gold has friends, you'll get money. I've never met an investor where I've presented them with a deal and said, okay, here's what it looks like, and here's what the bottom line is. You want to get in? Oh, yeah. If once you know how to put those things together and show them how they make money, because anytime you're doing an investment prospectus, it's not about you making money. You need to show someone else how they're going to make money. Never look at a deal from a perspective of what you're going to make. Always look at a deal from the perspective of what they're going to make. And then, obviously, if they're involved, you're going to make some money. You may not make the home run on the first thing, but you can hit a whole lot of singles and doubles. And right now, there are going to be a lot of people, like Glenn was just putting up there, looking at, where do I fit in? Should I go to Gaza? Should I... Don't let your mind limit you. That's all I'm saying. So what's Zelensky going to have to do?
By a senior official here, that nothing's going to happen with this minerals deal until Zelensky goes in front of cameras and makes an explicit public apology for the way that he behaved himself, behaved in the Oval Office with that meeting.
So nothing is going to happen until you come crawling back and letting me know you're sorry. That's your fee. Want it? Because at that point, he's clipping them. You can have no doubt at that point he's clipping him and letting him know, I'm in charge, you are inferior, and don't ever forget it. That's what we're talking about here. All right, so are you still with me, people? Let's see here. Seems like a lot of us in here are on disability. Yeah, I could understand that. We have an older audience, and so I could see that. I choose to stay and see the evil go from the world. We go on after this test. Yes. Zelensky will never apologize. I don't think he's going to have much of a choice. I don't think he's going to have much of a choice. Trump out here singing Biggie. I love it when you call me Big Papa. Oh yeah, absolutely. Definitely Big Papa. Today when the show was on about Take It Down, I seen women appalled what AI is being used for against women and children. Yeah, because AI, just like a gun, can be used for good and bad. It's such a new tool, people have to learn that it is dangerous if it's in the wrong hands. Doesn't mean you don't own a pew-pew. I'm sure many of you do. And you would say, the first thing you would say is, hey, yeah, it stays in my closet. It doesn't run around the house, going after people. Well, same thing with the AI. You just got to control it. Somebody just wrote, we went too fast, is somebody said, my body's on disability, but my mind's not. Bingo. Very good. Very good. Thank you. Thank you for saying it. We are America again after his master plan is successful. And the thing with it is, now you know what to look for. I loved how Glenn put that together, and I wanted to show it to you, because now you could almost rewind it, scrub back, and say, let me put these boxes together. And just watch what transpires over the next couple weeks and months. And see when he checks off, you'll know when those boxes get checked off. Getting Zelensky to sign the deal and getting Putin to sign the deal, he's taking two at one shot there. I'm pretty sure you're going to hear that outline tomorrow in some form, talking about how he's going to bring America back to prosperity. Because Americans need to know that wealth and prosperity are not bad things. He told you the entire time during the campaign. Every single campaign rally, he said it. Make America safe again. Make America healthy again. Make America wealthy again. Every single rally, he closed with that. And I would sit there and I would tell Robin, I'm like, I think a lot of people went over their head. Oh, that sounded great. Well, his infinity stones. Make America wealthy again. He ran on that. You voted for him based upon his rallies and what he said. So if Trump said one of his pillars were, I want to make America wealthy again, did you not realize what he was saying? He didn't say, I'm going to make me wealthy again. I'm going to make some money by being president. I'm going to make America wealthy again. And so there has to be a plan on how do you make America wealthy again. Well, we're going to do tariffs, and we're going to bring in $100 billion in investment, and we're going to be the world's leader in AI, and we're going to go get minerals in Russia, and we're going to get minerals in Ukraine, and we're going to do this and do that because my objective is down there. I want to make America wealthy again. That's what you need to open your eyes at. And it's unfortunate, not a lot of people will explain it to you. It seems daunting to even think, depending on your situation, like, man, I understand now. I heard Trump say it. I understand what Barry's saying, but how do I even grasp being wealthy again or being wealthy? Let me give you an example of how to think and understand how it can happen. There's a woman that you've seen us talk about who is deaf, disabled obviously to a certain extent, and she was very good on her computer, and she started digging into all this Doge stuff, and she got the eye and talked and word of mouth, and people started talking about this woman, the data Republican. What is she doing? Well, as of right now, she's waiting for her security clearance, and she's going to be working with the richest man in the world. She's going to be working with Elon Musk. What was she doing 3 months ago? She had changed her handle to Data Republican little r because she had been disillusioned with Republicans. So if she can do it, if she's a nonverbal deaf person, but has a skill of just being able to mine data, and now she's hooked up with the richest man in the world, and he's bringing her on, and the opportunities that she's going to have are going to be outstanding. You can't make any excuses. It's just a matter of figuring out what it is that you do. She realizes she has a hard time talking. She's nonverbal. She has to have an interpreter. Okay. So I need to be able to communicate in order to do what I do, and I'm not using that as a crutch. I'm going to do it to launch something that I'm good at. So the first thing you need to find out is whether you're disabled or not is what are you good at? That's the first thing. What do I do well? Circle that. Do other people want that? And then go from there. And you can use her as an example. 3 months ago, nobody heard of her. Now she's killing it online. Killing it. Killing it. All right, so that's all I got for you tonight. Let me go ahead and get ready to give away some hoodies. We got to do 3 hoodies. Don't forget, we're going to be changing up and giving away t-shirts as it's getting warmer outside. Well, not totally warm yet. I know some of you guys are still enduring winter. I didn't mean that the weather already changed. I mean that it's going to be changing. So we're going to go through like another round of hoodies before we go to the t-shirts. But we're heading to t-shirt time. And down here it's been t-shirt weather like forever. But in any event, alrighty, let's go. Let's get 3 of these done. Karen Meredith, you win a hoodie. Next up is David Hart. David Hart, you've won a hoodie. And one more. And Terry Banky. Terry Banky, congratulations, you've won a new hoodie. You guys need to email Ashley and let her know your information, your sizes, and all that kind of stuff, because it's very hard to get a hold of people. Would you realize this? Let me tell you something. I bet 30% of the people who have won a hoodie have never responded to Ashley's email. That means 3 out of every 10 we give them away, but it is what it is. Somebody goes, Data Republican is no slouch. What happened there? Where'd it go? Oh, okay. She has had patents for her data tools already. Yeah, but she probably wasn't earning that much money from them. Let's see here. All right, so congratulations to the hoodies. Oh, I forgot the drum roll. You know what? I get tired at the end of the day here, and I know I got a long day tomorrow. So, I mean, really long day tomorrow with all the interviews and everything else. So, I'm going to have to get some of these supplements into me tomorrow early in the morning because, we got to go. Sorry, hold on a second. Hey, if you'd like to join 15,000 plus fellow patriots on X in our private X/Twitter group, go to fanfareshop.org/group. Just put in that URL in your browser. It'll take you right to our private group on X. Love to see you there. Let's share some content. And if you'd like to win a hoodie, or rather if you'd like to enter to win a hoodie, go to fanfareshop.org, fanfareshop.org, and register to win a Trump hoodie.
Welcome back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, let's go. Let's do this. Let me acknowledge the super chats. Where am I? Make sure I do this. Okay. Jose Bazil, I'm losing faith in our government. Makes me puke. Come on, Jose. Job for 9, no comment on ongoing investigations, remember. Subzer, is this what the next 4 years will look like? I'm saying these are probably from earlier in the show, but hopefully the end of the show today makes you feel a little bit better. Greg Jurgen, Mr. President Trump is America's new godfather, and anyone that doesn't obey the laws and orders will get that SUV got far better than he deserves. Karen, Barry, it's fairly obviously that NBC is guilty of the lie of omission. Well said. Joy Roberts, appreciate your perspective, Barry. Thank you very much. James Hammond, Benny Johnson reported this guy was fired for the Epstein files. I know, but I mean, that's just us doing it. The mainstream media is saying, oh no, it's January 6th or something. Paul and Jamie, thank you. Bondi's just another Jeff Sessions. I hope that's not what it is. Let's talk about it. TV. The day she got sworn in, I said, this chick ain't right. Fire her. Wow. The day she got sworn in? Greg Barth, what do we gain by getting the files? Any of them? My check will be the same on Friday. Bingo. Good point. Kim Hansen, why no Dems at the round table with Melania? Because they are those people. There was one I know of, Ro Khanna from California. He was there. He actually spoke. Deanne Hobbs, something bigger is happening. Cash is not a drop the ball type of person. They may have made a deal with the guy. Good point. Stray shot. I suspect the administration is cleaning house behind the scene. I don't care how many they remove, so long as they force out those being roadblocked. Admittedly, I prefer a body count. Rachel, thank you. James Tibb. Just remember, where we go one, we go all. New or old MAGA has to stand, and we stand in unity. Don't let them separate us. Good point. Rachel Hartleben, thank you. Papa G95. The real question is, where's Big Balls right now? I don't know which. He's working in one of those agencies. Tim McCurry, strategic chess game or incompetence by the DOJ and FBI. Trump silent. I hope it's the first option, but my faith is waning. I want heads to roll. TikTok. Yeah, I think we all do. I think we all do. That's for sure. Deanna Hobbs, he could have snitched for a deal to retire instead of jail. That is a good point. I was thinking that is because, hey, you can resign and flip, or we fire you and lock you up. Police 45. Zelensky should be sent kicking minerals. And Zelensky has nothing without us. Everybody knows. Yep. Mike the Plumber. Ivy League colleagues only teach you to talk a game, but yet fit in. Dan B, you're really going to take that loss and fall in line. I hope he gets in there and kicks some butt with cash. Genesis, thank you. Papa G again. Remember, this team is 2 steps ahead, and Big Balls is ready to hit the enter button. Okay? Tim McCurry, I have faith in Trump, 100% MAGA, just not sure what's happening. Less talk, more action. Strike first, strike fast, strike hard. Heads roll, arrest. See, I think that's what a lot of people are thinking. Just throw some red meat into the water. CR, thank you, Barry, and your family for an informed channel. Thank you for watching. Tim McCurry again, thank you. Barry, do you feel avenged right now? I don't. No, I don't feel it yet. Nope, not yet. There's nothing there. Harold Whited, especially with the other side of things, judges and all, don't feel it yet. I am Planet. Oh yeah, thank you, Harold. I am Planet Hermit. Tell the Democrats to shut it down and be mad. Yeah, Laura Gray just sent Cash and Bondi on X and Truth. What the hell is going on with the files? Let's all hold their feet to the fire. CR, thank you. If they shut down the government down, the Democrats will demand things to get their votes. Exactly. They need those 60 votes if they shut it down, and Democrats know that. Jeremiah Care, here's a little something for snacks and hydration for your marathon tomorrow. I'm going to give me a good night's sleep and get everything planned so it won't drive me crazy. Tim McMurray, Barry, you and I were not negative, we're realists. Yeah, some people who aren't used to people who are realists think that it's being negative because it goes against their world perspective. Papa G95, they're playing checkers and Trump is playing chess. Absolutely, I believe that. Aries, Ontario is connected to Michigan, New York, and Minnesota. So is that where he's feeding power into? Jose Bazil, mostly New England state serves us good. We should be generating our own power. Yeah. Robert Husbands, we have many nuclear stations and aren't even online hookups. So many are in Florida alone. We have no problem with power. Okay. Beverly Litton, bet the Dems will be screaming like banshees at the State of the Union tomorrow. A bunch of them aren't even going to show up. Tim McMurray, California, New York, Michigan, Minnesota, and Vermont import power from Canada. Ooh, that's not good. Donna, Canada needs our, those are some big areas, California and New York. Wow. Canada needs our money for the electricity. There's already book. I don't see how the Canadian Parliament would allow that to happen. I think he's all mouth. I don't know I don't know how their rules work up there. Nori Cat passed a big reconciliation. No stopgap needed. True. DJT on Pro Oxygen. Libs would stop breathing. Papa G, I'll be with you all day, brother. Thank you. Beverly Litton, yes, we did see her. Jesse Brown, what a great way to save money and keep it shut down for an entire year. I wonder how many people in the chat here that would even affect. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't even know. Ronnie C., I'm one of the first on MAGA train since 2015. I'm upset. Not with you, Barry, but we've been down this road before. The whole Russia collusion, Hillary. That's what I was saying. Barry, everyone, including old-time MAGA, need to chill and wait. This corruption took decades to create. Pam and Cash will get them all. Okay, E. Roger Roberson. I've been with Trump from 2016. I'm also a disciple of Christ. I truly believe that our Heavenly Father does not want the truth to come out too fast, as it could cause too much chaos. Good point. Very good point. Christopher Williams, did Chuck Schumer sabotage before meeting with Trump to stop the war? I heard a bunch of Democrats met with Zelensky. A bunch. Condition-based. She said she got the files at 8 a.m. Yep. Beverly Litton, Hannity repeats late tonight at 1 a.m. Central if you want to DVR it. Okay, thank you. Iris Bolin, I don't care about the list. I just want the children found. The people that took them and hurt them be brought to justice. Mama Tracy, Barry, we want arrests. Also, why can't Trump just give Zelensky pictures of his house like he did that one guy to make him mind, or just let Putin take care of him? Well, if they don't cut a deal, that last thing is probably what would happen. Ernest McAllister, Cash and Pam need to make a priority list and start rooting out the crooked in the FBI and CIA first. Agreed. Hello, Captain Danny. Bondi is fighting the entire swamp. A tough task. Get a big girl pants on real quick. Fazul. Hope Bondi learn. Don't warn him. Act when ready. Exactly. Hey, Tommy, how are you? We the people are above POTUS, SCOTUS, and Congress. We are the judges. The reps act for us. We need to see children held in distress before the, not needed, but something on video to the judge. It's absurd, Donna says, that Canada and Mexico are pissed. If they don't want tariffs, simply protect the border coming into the U.S. It's not hard to do. But Mexico is ruled by those cartels. Caitlin, thank you. D-Lad, yeah, that guy's a tackle dummy book learning there. David From, he's talking about. Diana Powers, thank you. Diamond G, we're going to make Earth great again. Okay. Victoria Winston, Congress should pass a law that if government shuts down, Congress doesn't get paid. They'll never do that. They're never going to get themselves hurt. Doing a deal with Putin kills China's power. It does. Mama C29, Murphy bragged in 2014 about overthrowing the government. He cares more about nation building than representing Connecticut. Man, I had so many problems with the people in Connecticut. I mean, long time. Back when Joe Lieberman was a senator. I am Planet Hermit. Grok that is going to become a thing. Yes. Biddlesbeat, oh my God, picking up jockstraps, shitting on butt plugs. I can't stop laughing. I can't get enough of Barry's hilarious commentary. I'm not trying to be vulgar, just what comes to mind. James Water, love your podcast, Barry. Keep up the great podcast. Thank you. Donna, Z is such a little pain in the butt. He is. And Wishard, thank you, Barry, for the information. Thank you for watching. Biddlesbean, I didn't expect any more from Zelensky than we saw. Have you seen the videos of him dancing in high heels and leather pants? He's a clown with no understanding of how politics works. Yes, I've seen the videos, and what you just said makes a lot of sense as to him not knowing what our government and how it changes. Cheryl Dillon, Zelensky tried to create a NATO loophole. Ukraine is not a part of NATO. This is literally what started the war in the first place. Yep, and he's not getting in. Therese, thank you. Jeanette, Barry, it's going to be biblical. We're going to be a prosperous country again. I believe that. Tania, Barry, you're very appreciated. Don't forget it. Thank you. Where'd I go? Where did I just do that? I went past it again. Okay. Lisa, breaking Cash Patel released the kickback money to our politicians from Ukraine on X. What? I'll have to check that out. Yeah. Mama Mima, doing a deal with Putin may be the very thing that brings Zelensky back to the table. Carolyn, the company I work for has already received contracts to build generators for AI. That's awesome. Arizona guy, things are getting better. In 2020, YouTube removed my channel because you were not even allowed to talk about election fraud. Now I am coming back slowly. Good for you, brother. Good for you. Hello, Neil. Very love your show. Still trust Trump? Yes, of course. Arizona guy. Oh, wait a minute. William Santos. Barry, thank you for keeping me informed on the latest events. And Arizona guy. If Florida disbands property taxes, I'll be relocating to Ocala. Oh, you must love to hunt or fish. That's a good area to be a hunter. Sean Henderson. Way to go, Barry. I'll be Fanfare's White House correspondent. Come on down. Beverly Litton. When I saw the movie Reagan, it successfully depicted patriotic America. That was back then, and Reagan's leadership and tough love. I wept during those parts and mourned the loss of that. Glimpses of that are returning now. Yes, indeed. And Kenny Vincent, Bear, if they shut down the government, Elon will have his way with the spending cuts. Might be a good idea. Yeah, that could definitely happen. Could definitely happen. All right, everybody. It is 11:30. Wow. Wow, I didn't know we went that late. Thank you guys for tuning in. Tomorrow early, 9:30ish or so. We'll see you then. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Have a great evening. Stay safe and enjoy each other.
Fire.